What's up, guys? It is Brent, and we are back with some content for Wheel and Trigger. And I know it's been a while. I am sorry. This time of year, the last couple months of the year is always really busy for us with our races and different things going on. So it's really hard to create content. However, I've got a few really good episodes that are going to come out. I think you guys are going to really enjoy them. But this one in particular is really, really, really good. Not to mention, it's like an exclusive. We had a Wheel and Trigger exclusive with Ryan Maifield in the house. He's never done an in-studio podcast. We were really fortunate to have him, and it was really cool. We talked about cameras and faces. We talked about money racing and money in racing. We sipped on tequila together, drank some Coors Light. The mountains were blue. We did a lot of things. We talked contract, home life. I told him that I was going to dot him in the eye, which obviously I never would. Lots of good stuff. And I really hope that you guys are going to like this and enjoy this episode. As always, if you like it and you appreciate what we're doing, do us a favor. Like this episode, share the episode from YouTube or from Facebook, anything. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Wheel and Trigger. If you want to be a patron, we would love to have more patrons to help us fly guests in, put them up, and get them on the show. So without further ado, here we go. It's Ryan Maifield. That's pretty good. It was in sync. Kind of like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Whatever that.
I have a voice like Justin for sure.
It's a good way to start off.
Yeah.
So, man, I am going to tell you, when I got the phone call from you the other day and I saw it ring, I was like, what? I mean, we don't talk often. So when you call, I knew it was one of two things. And I was hoping it was this. Where you were coming out.
What was the first one? What do you think? What was the bad one?
It wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
It could have been great, but it's nothing that we should probably talk about on this.
Yeah, okay.
But it was one of those things where I was like, okay, this is an unexpected pleasure,
right.
And I knew it was getting close to Masters, and I just never would have thought. We even talked about like Jason having his Carper race, and you had the BK Classic, and then Masters all in the same weekend.
Yeah. And
I understand like the JC team gets split up all around the country so that they've got their top drivers everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was super excited, and I had to remind you that I asked you if I flew you out here, would you come on the podcast? And you're like, no fucking way. Not.
I didn't say that.
Well, you said if I'm not there for something, I'm not going to take time away from my family, which I respect.
Yeah. I for sure said that, but I don't know about it. I said no fucking way, but yeah.
But that I was stoked, and I've always it's well documented that I've always wanted all the dogs here to compete for the Master of Dirt.
Yep.
Which is my baby. I've built this thing from nothing to where it's at, and you're here.
Yeah.
So this is big for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here before. Obviously, I did the Concepts finals here a couple of years in a row, and I wanted to come to this event also, just like we were just talking, like it's, a couple of years ago, there was a NCTS race, J Concepts carpet race going on the same weekend. And it's happening again this weekend. Obviously Jason's at an event in Iowa, but yeah, I know, like I said earlier, when we were talking before this show, like when all the big dogs are racing, it's like, I want to be there. You know what I mean? Like, either it goes good or it goes bad, but I just got to be there. I want to be there, So I haven't been racing a lot of 10 scale this year. I've ran, a lot of events of hobby action, but I haven't really traveled around. I didn't go to the nationals. So there's a lot of reasons for that. Like, switching to Techno this year, I've been really concentrating on my A scale program. But yeah, I felt after Hoosier that my 10 scale program was like pretty good. And I was like, I think it would be kind of just a nice transition to just go to the Masters of Dirt and, kind of see where I stack up. So, and yeah, I've been here a couple times. I've always had a good time. Me and you, like you said, we're boys, drink some beers at other events. So if I can get here, I will. I can get here.
Yeah, I'm stoked. So Hoosier went pretty well for you. Like you're picking kind of like finding the speed again.
I got back going. We'll see what happens this weekend. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's kind of well documented. Me and Hobby Action don't get along great, and I don't know. I don't understand why. I have a great relationship with Larry, the owner, and my best friend Jake is the manager there, and I run there quite a bit. And just, man, when it comes to big races, like, I feel like I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I just cannot figure it out.
What's the deal? So, and I've heard that before, not just you, but like what an amazing facility.
You're right, for sure.
I even told the Kothmans a little while ago, I was like, man, I regret not going to Worlds. It just didn't make sense for me at the time, and I probably should have gone over there. And I regret not going. But I've heard nothing but great things about the place, but it's always been a question mark on the dirt. Like maybe the prep or the kind of dirt. Like what's your opinion?
Well, first of all, they put in as much effort as any track I've ever seen. Like they want it to be the best it can be. But just for whatever reason, the dirt is super sensitive to the temperature outside, the moisture level in it. So it's better now that they've, put misters in there and stuff, but just for a big race, the traction's so high and there's still some dust comes up through the run. Like it just feels like the cars are on a knife's edge all the time. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's really hard to kind of like quantify it and like figure out why, obviously, because I still haven't figured it out 6 years in racing there.
Right.
A couple guys have, like Spencer Rifkin obviously kills it there damn near every time he's there. Had a great showing at Worlds. And then Ongaro comes in and just wins, like never been there ever and wins 4-wheel drive. So it's like, it clicks for some, it doesn't click for others. But I think that's what's cool about that place too, is it's just like, it's fucking hard, man.
Right.
Like, so if you want a challenge, like that's one of the places you should go for sure. But yeah, I don't know. They did an amazing job at the Worlds. Like you would have loved being there. Like you appreciate hard work and like, damn, they did a great job. Especially as a track owner, you would have just looked around and been like, damn, I don't know. I don't remember anything being like missed.
Yeah.
Like there was a tire issue, but
that was so blown out of proportion.
I mean, it honestly worked out to where it just made our lives way easier, like, cause a little older tires were fine.
Right.
But if that issue wouldn't have happened, we probably would have been putting tires on every run.
More work, more money.
And struggled even more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I told Larry afterwards, I was like, it's probably a happy accident. You know what I mean? Like, he obviously wasn't able to make as much money on tire sales, which was a bummer. But yeah, just for everything else, that was like such a it was a huge thing at the moment, obviously. But at the end, I think most people forgot about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, not to talk about Hobby Action too much.
No.
They did a great job. And so what I started with is I've had a rough time racing there. Don't get up, don't usually have great results to show off from that event or from that track for whatever reason, which sucks because it's my home track. I mean, I live 10 minutes from there.
Right.
Which I honestly think that's another reason why I don't do well there, because now I have 2 kids and, my wife texts me, hey, I'm coming home from work. And I'm like, well, shit, if I was home, I'm 10 minutes from just chilling with my wife and kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just when I'm here, South Carolina or wherever, around the world, it's not even an option. But when you're 10 minutes away, you're just like, I feel like
you feel obligated.
Yeah. Arms reach away.
Yep.
And it's, obviously she's super cool. She doesn't want me to she's not expecting me to be home or anything like that, but it's so close, you know? So it always kind of weighs in the back of my mind. And, I don't know. It's just kind of funky. So then I went to Hoosier, had a great weekend, almost won 2-wheel drive, ran well in 4-wheel drive. And so then I left there and I'm like, man, I want to go to Masters of Dirt. I want to go to another track and just see how I stack up, against the best guys in the world, basically. Obviously if a couple of the European dudes would show up to this event, then it'd probably be one of the biggest. I think this and Desert Classic is probably obviously the 2 biggest events.
Standalone.
Yeah, of
definitely.
the year. Yeah, I mean, because all the major guys want to be here. So
right.
I think you guys are probably only missing Cavalieri this year.
Yep.
So that's pretty good.
When I talked to him at Wicked, he was coming, but I don't know with the Schumacher deal, whatever. I don't know where
yeah,
he was
I think
at,
he's just maybe getting some A-scale stuff going.
Sure.
I heard he's going to Thunder Alley. So, but which I get it. We have a busy schedule. So, I mean, I was just testing in California last week with A-scale stuff. So it's just, we're kind of always doing something somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So speaking of Techno and 10 scale, obviously we know that they're not 10 scale oriented. You know, we know they have the 4-wheel buggy, the 4-wheel drive stadium truck, and the short course. No 2-wheel drive buggy. And last time I talked to Daniel and Matt, you know, a couple years ago, they're like, no plans, you know. But now it's a little different. Things have changed, and they're moving forward. I mean, they've got they're winning races they've never been able to win. Their accolades are just, you know, climbing, and they've got a great support team. I mean, Jared Wiggins is freaking doing an amazing job. Yeah. Obviously, Seth's a beast. Yep. You know, like, you guys have a great team.
Yeah, we do.
We all see it.
Yeah.
But what's stopping them from? I mean, if you know, what's stopping them from coming out with a concentrated 10 scale program that could open up another door for them?
Time. I mean, it's just like everybody's looking for more time. I mean, I don't think they're really ready at this moment to put away or put to the side what they're passionate about. You know, their passion is A-scale buggy and mainly e-buggy. They love all the electric stuff. I mean, when I go testing with Danny and Matt Armini, the engineer, like, they really only run electric truck and buggy, and but they also, you know, trust us to tell them and you know, report back what the nitro cars need. You know what I mean? But they love the A-scale stuff. You know, that's just, so as far as I mean, I've only been there for a little while, so
sure.
But I know they're very dedicated to the A-scale side of things. They like to make stuff that they enjoy driving, right? So they enjoy driving the A-scale stuff. They enjoy driving 10 scale short course, and they made that 10 scale 4-wheel drive truck, and they were the first people to do it because they thought it was cool, and it did really well. You know what I mean? So I think they've just kind of followed their passions and what they like, and then it's also translated really well to the market.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, not saying they're not passionate about 10 scale, like Danny, the owner, Daniel Lewis and Matt Walter, the team manager, they came out to the Worlds and checked it out. And after when they were leaving, Danny's like, man, this was awesome. Like,
sure,
I was so stoked to check this out. Like, you know, and I, you know, maybe that little fire under their belly to, like, kind of start doing something with 10 scale. But they're a small operation. I mean, you know, they sell a lot of product, but there's only a handful of dudes working there. They like to keep kind of a tight knit community, you know, especially within their walls. And so that helps them keep things streamlined, but then also, like, there's not a lot of people to, like, do other stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's spread thin.
Yeah.
I respect that because we're very similar. You know, I mean, we get compared a lot to, like, the East Coast A main and all these different things. And I'm always like, bro, you don't even understand. We're so small.
Yeah.
Like, we're just a flat, you know, we're just a gnat on the nuts of a big bull, you know?
Right.
So
yeah.
like, I'm stoked when people give us those compliments, but I love those kind of stories, not the Goliaths, you know. I like the Davids. I like the people that have
I mean, they have, I mean, as far as I know, it's like 5 people, you know what I mean, total, maybe even 4 now, that actually, like, work there day to day.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I mean, that's nothing
compared
to some of these companies.
Well, A-Main's got over 100 employees.
Yeah, I mean,
so, I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
you know?
A-Main's a huge company.
Yeah.
And the amount of product they have to house, and, you know, but the more money, more problems, the more people you need. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Techno's been awesome. They had a great year so far. Like you said, we've won a ton of races, and it's really a testament to, like, their passion. Like I was saying before, like, they're super willing to make adjustments to products, you know, and they can make it on the fly. They can do it super fast. And they're always willing to kind of learn and grow, and they don't want to settle, you know, they just want to keep evolving, and they like thinking outside of the box. They like trying new things, and, you know, some of that stuff is awesome. Some of it doesn't really work, but that's the only way you're ever going to know. Yeah, right? You don't know until you try it. So yeah, I mean, like you said, Jared Wiggins is, fuck, that dude runs so much.
So dedicated.
It's insane.
I've told 100 people, like, if you could have one guy on your team, who would it be? I mean, Jared Wiggins is up there. He's in that. I mean, he's in the top 5. If you need
shit tested, he will test it to death, and he'll do it back to back, back to back, back to back, back to back.
Yeah, the feedback's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he just, like, we were just there this weekend, and it was like 8:30. We're at Paris, the Nitro Challenge track. And he's like, one more tank. And Danny just, you know, Danny's like, bro, we're done. Like, we're all tired. We're hungry. Like, he's like, oh, man, I just wanted to try this one thing, you know. Oh, grab me one while you're there, please. Thank you. So, Yeah, having guys like that is pretty kind of invaluable. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So,
Yeah, Jared. I had some experience with Jared early on. When he was kind of getting his feet wet, he was on the BK servo team, and I was on the team and selling a ton of servos at the time, and he was testing them for Bert and actually James, and I would get hear about the feedback, and he was so thorough.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Yeah, he makes me look bad sometimes because he's just like, oh, here's a write up of like all this stuff, and I'm like, damn, I don't even send setup sheets in. But I'm more of a phone. Like I just want to like talk on the phone and kind of run through some stuff, and then then you got him. He's just like he's very detail oriented and like
analytital.
Yeah, like he's just good at that stuff. So, but yeah, he's a good guy. Seth's a good guy too. He busts his ass. He's a little less methodical, I guess, than Jared. Like he's definitely more willing to just like throw shit on his car, see what's up, and kind of everybody be damned. I'm gonna try this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's like you kind of got these, two opposite forces kind of working towards the same path. You know what I'm saying? I guess. And then I'm kind of the old dude coming in, got a ton of experience, and can just go like, you're crazy, calm down. Or, hey, you need to like be a little more like crazy, like don't be so scared. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
have a little more open mind.
Yeah. Like, and then, so it's like, it's actually working really well. And then we got a couple of younger kids like Joey Bourdon and Cole Caston. And, they've had some great success this year. And, but yeah, everybody's kind of just working towards the same goal, which is what we just want to make the shit the best you can make.
Sounds like a good team.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've told people for a long time now. Techno has always surrounded themselves with good people. I mean, back when Lutz was running, then brought in Tebow. I mean, they've been able to bring in great experience to help develop the product.
Right.
And like that's, a lot of people, there's a lot of great drivers, Dakota, you, Cav, Spencer, Tebow. You can, the names go on.
Yeah.
If you can get one or two of those guys through your camp, that's huge. I mean, the amount of knowledge and experience that hits those sheets, all the setups, all the dang R&D. Yeah. It's invaluable.
It's a massive amount of work. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. Like I said, it's crazy the passion and the enthusiasm they have. Like, this might not sound weird to some people, but I mean, Techno has thousands of parts, obviously, like most companies would. But like the owner, Daniel Lewis, he knows every fucking part number, bro.
Really?
Every single one. Be like, hey,
just
do
like
you have
off the top of his head?
Yeah, what's the drive shaft off like the 0.3 buggy? That's like 2 or 3 generations ago, and he's like, oh, 9356. I'm like, holy shit.
Daniel's a cool dude,
yeah,
though,
he's
man.
super cool dude. But it's just like every time he like rattles something like that off, I'm like, damn, like, all right, I know why this company's successful. Like that super precise brain that remembers everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's cool. So I was thankful when I came on board because they allowed me to do this 10 scale stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they obviously don't cover my travel fees and
Sure.
all that shit. That's not their problem. But they let me take the time, to run these 10 scale cars. And their current 4-wheel drive they sell, like a lot of people ask, like, why don't I run it? And a simple answer is that Danny told me that, hey, look, we know it's a little bit outdated. We're not focusing on that at the moment. We know what you're going to want to do to the car. We've ran it enough. We know that there's things that need to be adjusted for the times and the tracks that have changed. Like 5 years ago when we were running on like medium grip tracks with like tread, that car was good.
Right.
It was super competitive, but stuff's developed over, it's evolved over the years. So he's like, we just want, you race 10 scale, like just run what you want to run and do your thing, and I was like, okay.
That's solid because you're basically, even though you're not
he's recognizing what their weaknesses are,
Sure.
right? You know what I mean? And then he's not holding anybody back.
Right. He's not saying go out and promote another brand.
Right.
He's just saying go run whatever's you're gonna win with or you feel comfortable with.
Right.
And that's great because he could basically say, listen, you either run our shit or you don't.
Yeah.
And
then it really made me feel like shit when I was in the C main at the Worlds, and I was like, well, fuck, I could have done that with the Techno car,
Right.
I could have at least done that.
Damn. Yeah, that's when they dropped their 4-wheel, it was pretty good. It's just
and it was different.
It was different,
and it worked well. I mean, Jared won the Reedy race with that car. I mean, Joe and Jared at that 1 year at the Reedy race, they led the points after 4-wheel drive. They were 1 and 2. You know, I'm pretty sure Joe was first after 4-wheel, Jared was second, and then Jared ended up, you know, winning the whole thing. So, and they had others. So it's like they're able to make this stuff. You know, they know how to do it.
right?
But like I said, it's just time and people. You know, so
When was the last time you were on a C-Hub car? Like the old RC8?
yeah, no, Losi.
Losi.
Yeah, Losi.
What do you prefer? I mean, be honest. I mean, I know you're on a C-Hub car right now, but like, do you want to make your C-Hub car handle like a pillowball car?
At times, yes, but I think a C-Hub car, I think, is very neutral. It's kind of a neutral car to drive, what I think anyways. So it kind of works almost everywhere you go, but the front end is stuck in a very tight box. You know, there's not a lot of adjustability there. You know what I mean? Not as much as a C-Hub car. So I think a C-Hub car, if correctly operated, can be more versatile. You know, it can be adapted to different surfaces, which in A-Scale we run on all kinds of surfaces.
Sure.
You know, so it seems like with a pillowball car, it needs a rear end that's more free, you know, because like you can't really dial in a ton of steering
Right.
with a pillowball car. So the rear end always needs to be a little more free. So, which is fine if you can kind of find that balance, which it always is pretty balanced. But with a C-Hub car, it always has a lot more steering, so it's kind of, you can dial some traction into the rear, or a C-Hub car kind of has more traction naturally.
Right.
Because the people engineering it kind of know that. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't honestly really have a preference. I think both have their qualities and both have their downfalls. And we've obviously seen both platforms win a ton of races.
Absolutely.
So it's just kind of like, what I respect about this stuff is like, if, you know, like, well, just recently talking with Techno, like pillowball stuff came up and they're like, we're not making a pillowball car. And I was like, I like that. You know what I mean? Like that was just this is what we do. We're not going to go down that avenue. We don't, not that they don't understand it, but it's just like, they're not going to venture away from what they've been doing for so long.
Well, they know it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what they know.
So
right
it's like
now.
Mugen would never make a C-Hub car, you know, because they've been making a pillowball car from the fucking 70s.
Pretty much starting the pillowball, right?
Like if you ever saw Kyosho make a pillowball car,
Right, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
The universes
you know?
are
So
not
it's
aligning.
Like these companies, the companies that are the biggest names in the industry and have had success on so many different surfaces, have always just stuck to what they know.
Right.
You know, and they win with it or they lose with it. So it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I think they're both equally competitive. They're both, the only downfall I think to the pillowball car, if there was one, is that the front end is less adjustable.
Yeah.
So, which is a good
Makes
thing.
it a little tougher to adjust anyways. I mean,
but it also makes it a good thing if, you know, for a consumer, like, oh, there's just less adjustments.
Right.
You know, like
work on the back.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's ever going to be an agreement, you know what I mean? Like to where there's always going to be somebody likes this, somebody like that. It's kind of Ford and Chevy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
I use that. Or you like that.
I use that reference all the time.
Yeah, well,
it's Fords and Chevys.
Right.
I mean, and that's, we get down to, you know, tires, chassis. It's all Fords and Chevys.
Yeah. What you're looking for in the RC game is get referred to as a Ford or Chevy.
Right. Exactly. So before I forget, you said a minute ago you didn't want to talk about hobby action, but I do want to say I respect the hell out of Larry and that whole crew, what they've done. I watched the whole process. I watched everything that was happening. I don't want to like just pass over that. As a track owner, I respect what they did. That Worlds was beautiful.
Yeah.
The coverage was great. Matt Olson did a fantastic job. I'm a fan.
Yep.
You know, so I don't dislike anybody, and I don't feel like anyone's competition. I'm me, and they're them, but they did a fantastic job. And I don't know if anyone in the world can put on a better Worlds. It really just comes down to efforts.
I've never seen the amount of like love for that specific event put into one track.
Sure.
You know, like
it showed.
And
I wasn't even there. It showed on TV.
Yeah.
It showed on YouTube.
When I walked in, I was just like, Larry, what in the fuck got into you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can't forget to mention Bob from Stick It One. Obviously, he's a sponsor of mine, but he's the one that turned all of Larry's ideas and dreams, and Bob threw in some of his own ideas, like turned it into, reality, and was able to print all that stuff and get it all done. And so, yeah, just as far as the group effort, I mean, as far as the people that are involved with making Hobby Action what it is, like we have a really great group of dudes that are passionate about that place and are willing to do that kind of stuff. It shows, man. Yeah. So not only is Larry a very dedicated owner, and when you have that kind of dedicated owner, then you have this group of people that are willing to do whatever it takes, and that's kind of what he's created there. Yeah. So it's, great job. And I don't really know if we'll see something like that again. I mean, obviously it's recreatable. But yeah, they did a great job. I mean, we went Huddy Arena, that fantastic facility as well. Yeah. And there wasn't that kind of pageantry.
No, the vibe was like dark. It just didn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, great place, awesome place. Of course, but it didn't have that love and care and like, pride,
Well, you just said the word pageantry, and my first Worlds was Spain. Yeah. And they had the pageantry. The Baldos rolled out the red carpet. Oh, it was beautiful.
They spent some dough to make sure that place was legit.
Which was the next thing I was going to say. Larry fucking spent his ass to make that place look.
If Larry made $1 off the World,
no way. No way. He spent thousands. Yeah. And that, it kind of segues into something I wanted to ask you anyways, but like that even goes into like Roar Nationals, Worlds. If the people that take those on,
they're doing it for passion.
They're doing it from passion. Yeah. They're doing it to say, like, it was a bucket list as an owner to have it. It wasn't, I did it to make money. It wasn't.
Well, Larry's crazy enough that he's had a Nationals there and now Worlds, and he would do another Nationals. Right. I'm just like, bro. Yeah. Like, so, but they have a great hobby shop and they make money on that side of things. But his passion is racing, and, so like, I get it. But yeah, I mean, we could go deep dive into that bullshit if we wanted to, but that's where RC's kind of broken. It's like these tracks host the biggest events in the world and make no fucking money. Yeah. Like that's, like I said, that's a fucking conversation, but
no, like I said, I wanted to segue into this. I recently became competition director for Roar, and I'm learning a lot.
So we can blame you now.
Not for everything. I know, only for certain things. But so I'm learning a lot as we go. And one of the things that's come up and that I wouldn't say everyone's thinking the same thing, and I don't want to speak for everybody on the committee, but it has been said in the couple of meetings that I've been a part of to this date, tracks aren't making money, and there's a reason why we're not getting the bids. It's a lot of work for very little return. If you just knew you could break even, you might think about it. But a lot of people don't even know that.
Because one of the biggest things is that almost everybody that's going to show up to a national or world championship is fully sponsored. Sure. They're bringing all their products with them. They're not going to spend a dime in the hobby shop. So the only way for tracks to make money on a situation like that is sponsorship dollars, which don't exist anymore because of streaming.
It's going away.
Yeah. Or mandatory tire sales,
right?
Controlled tires, or if they get a bigger piece of the pie from the entry fees,
right?
You know what I mean? So you could raise the entry fees, which you would still get, the top guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
you're going to weed out the privateers and the people that
it's
are
like, I have no idea what the answer is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody does. But yeah, there's a lot of reason why you see tracks host the nationals. I mean, there was for a while. I don't remember when exactly this was going on, but there was for a while that like it was the track's last hurrah to hold a national championship.
I remember when I opened my business up, the very first national that I watched on Live RC was Space Coast. They closed down the fucking week after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like you said.
That happened a couple of years in a row.
Yeah.
We would go to this place, have a great time, great track, and then a month later they'd be closed.
Yep.
So it was like
it's like a death net. It was like the death sentence.
Yeah, it was like a last ditch effort. Let's try to see if we can make some money at this, and then nothing.
Right.
It just fucking went belly up. So, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I don't want anything to do with that side of things. You know what I mean? As far as like being involved with IFMAR or Roar or whatever, because I think it's a thankless job. There's really no way to do it, to where everybody's profitable, But it seems like the majority of the money is kind of going to the wrong pot.
I agree with that. Scotty Ernst had, we talked about this a couple years ago when he first started doing Masters. He has a great outlook on this. He says, Roar needs to be built as a corporation and not as a nonprofit. And the people that run Roar need to get paid as a job, and they get hired and fired based on their performance.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, like, where does we all
there used to be back in the day there would be regionals.
Right.
And they would qualify you into the nationals. And then your track had to be like Roar sanctioned track. And there was like some pride that came with that.
Do you think we need regionals back?
I would think Roar needs just a governing body. Like, does NASCAR ever race at a non-NASCAR affiliated track? No.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's like there should be a sanctioning body involved through the entire year's racing. You know what I mean? Like any race, it's like start rating races, like a 5-star race, Nitro Challenge, Desert Classic, Masters of Dirt, whatever. Like pick the best races and then give them a rating, and then those events are Roar sanctioned events. You use those events as a regional qualifier for a nationals or whatever. You know what I mean? And then those tracks are kind of more working with Roar. Roar's more working with the industry. There's some like give and take with this money system that's going on. Because like Roar treats all these. It seems like Roar kind of treats. They have I don't know how many national championships they have between all the classes. 8.
I think 7 now.
Yeah. So it's like it's just a money grab. You know what I mean? Like they have these 7 events. They only have 7 events a year, and they try to get as many entries there as possible. Try to make as much money as possible to just continue to go on to the next year.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm sure the logistics of that is difficult for them, but if they were just involved somehow to where it was just a bigger profit sharing, you know what I mean? And more professional kind of outlook on this stuff.
Sure.
And they were involved more with the industry and worked directly with these companies to make sure these rules were in place, and all these companies, obeyed these rules, to where like we go to the Worlds and we go to the Nationals and we're like, oh shit, our car doesn't pass tech.
Right.
When was the fucking last time I went through tech?
Right.
It's like we should be going to tech at every fucking race.
Right.
I mean, I'm in the pro world. Like I know all of our cars are. We might be a little wide here and there. Our fuel tanks might have a CC in them too much occasionally at these events, where nobody's like cheating.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like crazy, anyways. But it's like we should be going through tech. We should be doing this all the time, and there should be a sanctioning body.
But should there be a qualifier to even race in a national?
Well, that's what the regionals would do.
But it was.
Yeah.
But like, does that need to come back? That's what I'm asking. Like, in your opinion, you've been doing this. When did you start RC racing?
There should be a change. I mean, I've raced a lot of nationals. I've won a lot of nationals. There was a couple of years ago that I didn't sign up on time, and I had to basically get on my hands and knees and somebody's to get into the nationals.
Right.
Because I missed the entries.
I mean, you should have a freaking...
And I'm like, what happened to the national provisional?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was about to say. You should have a provisional.
Like, okay, I get it. I missed it. But, dude, I was, here or there or whatever. And it was in California. So the nationals filled up like 10 minutes.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense. That just means that this is a money grab now. We're just like, whoever signs up first wins. They are there. So it's like, are we really trying to figure out who the best driver in the world is, or in America is?
Right.
And then based off that event, that's who goes to the world championship. So now we're trying to figure out who the best guys in the USA are, and they're going to go to the worlds. We lost that. You know what I mean?
So do you do this 2-part question? Do you do regionals to qualify for nationals, or do you do a national series so that you're not, especially like A scale? Let's just say A scale, right? Do you do a 3 or 4 race series that are national points to crown a champion versus one event? Or do you do regionals so that everyone meets in one spot to race for a national championship?
I mean, I don't really know the right answer. I think regionals would be good as far as maybe coming up with a list of alternatives for some sort of event. Does that make sense at all?
Like you would.
So I guess let me finish what I was going to say.
Okay.
So to determine a national champion, I think that it should be a series, right? Like, but I think I think the best course of action would be to use existing races that all the people go to. Right. So if these races were
DNC and Psycho Nitro and where all the guys are
like, so
already.
If Roar somehow worked out a deal with these race promoters, which there's really 2 of them. You know what I mean? Say, hey, we want to sanction your events as a Roar sanctioned event, and not go at it as a money grab. Go at it as like, hey, we just want to like be a Roar sanctioned event. Use your platform that you've already created, but use our rules, and let's come up with a way to where we use these events as a national championship, 5-race series or whatever, but then there's still a national championship to determine the winner.
So the points add up, and then you have a Roar National.
You're right. So then I don't know what the regionals would do, something to just like qualify you. That would, because that's what the local tracks used to have.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they'd be like a regional, like Region 6, whatever. What the hell they used to call those?
They were regionals, weren't they?
Yeah, but it was like a regional championship. But it was,
it was a regional championship.
It was just a regional championship.
Yeah, but you qualified from that.
Right.
Top whatever in each class took you to nationals.
So then maybe the year prior to this 5-race series, those regionals let you qualify to be available or have the option to race for that championship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you kind of got to qualify to get those opportunities.
Right.
Like you can still attend those events, but you're just not in the points. You can have a race within the race.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
the big thing with the promoters, though, is going to be the money side. So if Roar's needing anything out of it,
well, what the hell's Roar got to do anything?
Well, they don't. They don't need anything out of their event if they're just going to allow if they
Roar
can.
people don't need to be at those events. They just need to get,
as long as there's tech or whatever.
Yeah, just get the promoters on board to like, hey, use our rules, make this as official as possible. And it'd be there's so many logistical issues there, like P&B, there's fucking so many people. There's no way you're gonna be able to tech all those people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
But it's just something there to where it's just a series and it's more legit and Roar's more involved. Maybe they just send one person to those events.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you only tech the people that are in the points or whatever. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure there could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks that there's only one race that figures out a national championship.
Because we see Europeans, they do like a 4 racing, Spain, Italy, all England, they all do like a 3-4 race, Mexico.
Right.
Whether America, from what I've learned in my experience, which is a third of what you've been doing in this industry, what I've learned is America is the lion's share of sales in RC industry. Yeah. Okay. So the rest of the world looks at us for that, but we're not looking at what the rest of the world is doing with that side of things.
Yeah.
With the racing side of things. Joseph's been real, and I don't want to go down that fucking rabbit hole, but JQ has been real adamant about like less entries.
Oh, he has the right idea as far as like
more track time and stuff like that. Like I get that, but what I mean is they only run Nitro Buggy and they do these 4-race series and they crown a champion, and that's great. I see value in that.
Yeah.
I also see value personally in like everyone shows up at the one track and may the best man be the national champion. Like I see like both sides. It's, Super Bowl's only a one game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You play all year to go to one game.
Yeah.
But
that and RC is the only fucking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else is a series.
There's a series.
You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. It's just definitely in America, all these big events, the promoter is there. They're putting on that event to make money. It's a business.
It's a business.
Right? And it seems like some of the European stuff, the federations or the governing bodies make their money throughout the year. I don't really know how, but based off, having some sort of membership with them or whatever, to where then they put on these events and it's just like that event is specifically there to find the best guy. There's not all these other guys there. There's only one class. Like here we race 100 classes.
Right.
It's like the same car, but it somehow has 8 different classifications. You know what I mean? They just run buggy.
We're so soft over here, man. We're
everybody needs a trophy, which I get it.
We need a sportsman, an intermediate, a 40 plus, a pro, fucking now some places 50, 60 plus. Like, what the fuck?
That's kind of why like none of this shit would ever work, because it's just everybody wants this. Like in Europe, it seems like everybody's good with just, okay, I'm going to spend this money and I know I'm going to go there and get 118th.
Yeah.
But I love it.
But I'm going to get 60, 70 minutes of track time versus, maybe 30.
But, everybody here wants to go in, and I get it. People want to spend money and feel like they earn something at the end of the weekend, but it's like, fuck, what'd you earn?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
My favorite race in the world is the Chili Bowl. I don't know if you know anything about the Chili Bowl.
I know a little bit, yeah.
And I'm not talking the RC race, which Scotty, I love Scotty. Obviously, he's going to be here. But the actual Chili Bowl race is like...
Scotty's announcing here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's the man for Master Dirt. So, Chili Bowl, the real race, the big car race, it's 400 fucking cars going for one win.
Yeah, you know how much money those cars have in that
fucking program? And you know how much they win? This year they finally raised the pot from 10 grand to 20 grand. And that's pissing in that's nothing.
Nothing.
But the point is 400 cars, whole week of racing, one winner.
Right. Not
10 classes of 400 cars, And that's why I love it. It's like, fuck.
If we did that in RC, if you went, like, that's why I think the Nationals is like, the Nationals used to be kind of a little bit bigger than it is now. But a lot of people don't like that. There's a lot of people that are actually pretty good. I don't want to just throw names out that would do really well at the Nationals, like make the C, potentially the B main at the Nationals, but they run fucking intermediate at all the other races so they can win.
And that's a huge topic online. We see that every time there's a race, like sandbag.
But you can't, you wouldn't have pride. You wouldn't feel pride. You know what I mean? To come to the Nationals, do the best you can.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I got 21st. The Nationals, I'm the 21st best dude in the nation.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, that's pretty damn good.
I went to Chico and made the 1/16. I was fucking ecstatic.
What's the actual number on that?
I was like 60 something.
Okay, well
I was amazed.
That's half.
I was stoked.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe not 60, 70 something. I don't know. For me, I'd never been higher than like the 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So like I progressed. So we have to keep in mind that this is a hobby for 99% of the people.
Right.
And so, like you said,
but what other hobby do you do that you get to take a trophy home? Like if you go fishing, you're a fisherman.
Yeah.
How many fucking times do you get to go fishing and win a goddamn trophy?
Rarely.
I mean,
usually,
if you go race dirt bikes, you're not going to win no trophy.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you're spending that money to just go do it.
Right.
But for some reason, we've just allowed this to be in the RC.
It's a promoter issue. And I'm not saying it's the top promoters or whatever. I'd be
curious to go if PMB just went like, hey, it's buggy, truck, e-buggy, e-truggy. Get fucked, everybody.
Right.
How many people would show up?
I mean, that's an experiment I'd love to see happen.
I mean, Dave would never do it because he makes it killing. You know what I mean?
And
that's his business.
I'll be the first person to say Dave and Joey deserve the money they make. They've been working their ass off.
Yeah. I'm not saying I didn't mean to say money grabber.
No.
But
I'm not. And I'm not saying
it's a business for them.
100%. That's how they make their money.
And they put on awesome events.
100%.
Like, every event they do, I have a great time at.
Yep.
And you can see everybody else does too. And I think that's where this came from. Is that they're trying to make everybody happy,
right?
Which is impossible,
Yeah.
But they do the best they can. And
we have a rule. I have a rule. My dad taught me this when I grew up promoting motorcycle racing. The rule is if you can make 51% happy, it was a success.
Well, that's
51%.
It's not a bad rule.
Because that's what you're trying to do, a majority.
Right.
51% is the majority.
And it's racing. I mean, only one person's leaving happy.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to be pissed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but everybody eventually calms down and like looks back on their time there and go, oh, that was a good event.
Right.
That was a great event.
But if they would keep that in their mind while it's happening and not let it fucking ruin their weekend. You know how many people
are
I
so
see
quick to get on the phone and just bash.
Well, it's not even that. Like being at the race and how miserable some people get because they had one bad qualifier and their whole weekend's over.
Yeah, go drink a beer, dude.
Bro, calm down.
It's a toy car. Like, I mean, it's our job. It's the way you make your money. It's the way I might make a living. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, we're all just...
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
You got to. You've got to put in perspective.
You have to focus on it like it's your life. Like we do. We have to focus on it like it's your life. But then at the end of the day, if shit goes wrong, you're just like,
right.
Shit happens. It is what it is.
Going home to my family, like, I got fucking, I'm healthy.
If more people had that, just like, all right, I did the best I could. It wasn't my day. But if people want to blame everybody, and then that's where all this shit comes from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but.
It's a good perspective, man. And that's what we miss. One of the reasons I started this podcast a year ago, this is actually our year anniversary. I started last year's Masters. And one of the reasons is like trying to get the perspective from the people that do travel every week. It's their living, and see exactly how you guys see it, and give like a window for people to see who you really are outside of just the racing. And everybody has said the same thing. And it's like, we do this for a living. However, you got to be a realist about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a competition. You can't win them all.
Right.
You can't be I mean, you can be mad that you made a mistake or somebody fucked you out of a win or, you know, took you out when you were whatever. You can be mad, but you guys race each other every weekend at the top. So,
well, I see most of these guys as damn near as much as I see my family.
Right.
You know, so if Brock takes me out, I mean, shit, I took Brock out at the Hoosier race. My fault. Pretty bad, right? I watched the video afterwards. I'm like, fuck, my bad, dude. Like, I should have waited. I didn't wait. And, like, after the event, you know, obviously that was a kind of a forced situation. Like, we're in the same rental car, you know what I mean? But we were good. You know, like, he's gonna do that to me eventually at some point.
Right.
Spencer's gonna do it to somebody. I'm gonna do it to Spencer. You know, blah blah blah. Like, but I've always given myself I go Marshall, and that's my time to get over it.
It's a good way to look at it.
You know what I mean? Like, I just go out on the track pissed off. Like, if somebody tries to apologize to me on the driver's stand, just try not to acknowledge them, and then just go onto the track, Marshall, and then come back and just, you know, find that person and, like, let's talk about it. You know what I mean?
Hashtag no apologies.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that they go a little. I mean, when you get kind of dicked out of like $8,000 in 30 feet of a track, you might get a little pissed. More pissed, right?
Well,
but
so money brings up a big point for me. So I don't.
How do we take a commercial break?
You need a commercial break?
I need a commercial break.
All right, I do too.
Okay.
Where you need pee?
I gotta piss.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quality. Precision. Passion. For servos, batteries, and fuel, go to nitroproracing.com.
Oh. The fuck is it? Mango flavored?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
El Padrino.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. Yo,
everybody understands this is a kick it and chill. I don't want.
Bro, this is off the rec. This is like not business. This is hanging out. No one so far. Nobody that's been on here has told me they got in any kind of trouble or whatever. Plus, nobody watches it, so who gives a fuck?
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
All right, so we were before we took a commercial break, and I hope we have a commercial that I'll throw in the middle of that. I don't fucking know, but I wanted to tell you, and I'd love to know your opinion, because obviously with the Visions race just popping up, you know, it's a new thing and it's happening. I have always been very against advertised purses, and the reason being is because I came from racing where money was everything. That's what everyone went for. It was the biggest purse. They travel, and next thing you know, every promoter has to up the other promoter, this track, that track, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I do throw money. For instance, we've got 2 Dash for Cashes at Masters of Dirt, and then we do our hooligan race. But the thing is, nobody knows who's going to be in them. They're not advertised purses, right? So what is your opinion on advertised purse racing? And I mean, from one spectrum to the other, like from amateur to pro, from, you know, whatever. Like, what do you think about it?
I think there's a lot of things. You just said so many different things. I think there's for sure 2 different ways to kind of do a purse race. And I think the worst way to do it is an advertised purse race, like you just said. Like, okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. What's so funny about the pro class is that we literally race for fucking money every time we're racing.
Right.
Every time, right? And I'm not going to say how much money, you know, we make, but like that Visions race, people might know the amount, you know what I mean? Like that big amount, like if you win all three,
you got to win everything.
Like 14 grand or something like that. We're not making that kind of money.
Right.
You know, but if you win the overall, like that's kind of a normal-ish amount of money that you would win at this event if you won, you know, say 2 out of the 3 classes, right? Based off your sponsorship bonus money. So you're always making, there's always not always, but that kind of money is
the opportunity,
right? So we're always racing each other for money. But for whatever reason, when it comes to this, like, oh, I'm going to get a big check at the end of the week, like handed to me, or I might get some cash handed to me, it makes everybody lose their fucking mind.
Right. Which is the advertised purse.
Yeah.
That's
I have no idea why. It doesn't ever make sense.
No.
You know, like, it's like, dude, we're literally racing Nitro Challenge and like, you know, so like case in point, like between Ty and I at the Visions race that one year, I was like, that move was maybe questionable on his part. Maybe I did something wrong. I don't really know, but I know for a fact if it was coming down, if it was 5 minutes to go at the Nitro Challenge, none of that would have happened.
Because there wasn't the advertised purse
I don't know.
the end.
I have no idea why. Either way, if me or him would have been racing for the Nitro Challenge win, there's still a big pot of money there to win from your sponsorship, guys. Right. But that wouldn't have happened. It doesn't usually happen. Now, it does happen on the last lap. It can happen on the last lap at those events. But for that to happen with 5 or 10 minutes to go, the only reason I think that happened is because, you know, we're racing for that pot. You know what I mean? And it's just like shit always happens in those events.
So that's why I don't like it.
So I'm not saying Ty did something wrong. That was just the most recent thing. Right. So, but it does happen. It's just, I don't understand why. So then there's other races like what you just said. You guys do your Hoonigan race and whatever. What was the other thing you said?
We do 2 dash for cashes.
So you're just kind of like randomly throwing like, okay, this race is worth $500 or whatever.
Right.
Those are kind of more fun. You know, you're like, oh shit, cool. And then people take each other out, but it's just a more light atmosphere.
Right.
You know, like,
but they didn't come here for that money.
No.
They didn't plan that race weekend.
By the way, this tequila has made me kind of burp a little bit. So sorry if you can hear that through the mic.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm glad you're trying it because I've talked about it a lot. It's definitely so far.
So I don't take shots, and Brent was like, "You want a shot of tequila?" I'm like, "No, I'll sip on it a little bit." So I'm just sipping on it, and it's making me burp, but it's pretty good.
For those who watch this religiously, I don't know how many of you. This is the El Padrino, the mango flavor, fucking great, so good. But yeah, that's to me. I watched basically dirt oval go-kart racing go to hell in a handbasket because it all came down to going racing for money. Used to be able to race, you know, for a couple $100 on a weekend, maybe bring home your, you know, what you spent, and then it turned into got to have $3,000 in tires to win $5,000.
Right.
If you win the $5,000.
Yeah.
And then people taking each other out because it's $5,000.
Yeah.
And then way more than that. But I don't want to see RC, and it's not just the racers taking each other out. The worst part about it is the tracks and promoters. If one guy does it, the next guy says, oh, fuck you, I'm going to do this. And it's this person. And now entry fees go from $100 to go to a big race to $150 or $200 because now you're racing for $2,000 to win or whatever. And now it's outpricing the hobby.
I think I mean, I guess if there's money races, like I think it would be cool if there were more events that paid out, like the classes that the guys are racing that aren't getting paid to be there. Does that make sense? Like, so I guess here, like, you know, shit, I don't even know what the fuck classes are going on here. So like, there's 2 mod.
Yep.
Then there's 17.5. Is there a 17.5 pro?
No.
Okay, so it's just 17.5.
Right. So
like, there's some 17.5 guys that actually get paid.
Sure.
You know, which is stupid to me, but whatever. No.
Big business now, though.
I mean, it's a big class. You know, a lot of motors are getting sold, so I kind of get it. So maybe those lower divisions kind of get the option to win some money at some of these events. You know what I mean? Like $1,000 for the winner or whatever. You know what I mean? To where the top guys like me, we're already. Well, we might not necessarily be getting paid to be at this event, but
it didn't cost you anything to be here. It
didn't cost me anything to be here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then my sponsorship, you know, my sponsors, there's an opportunity to make a little bit of bonus money, right? And so that would be more cool. Like, I think a lot of the pro guys would be into that. You know, like, I think they would be on board with that. They would want to go to these events because we're still going to make money, but it'd be fun to kind of watch that and watch the Doug Riviere. How the fuck do you say his name?
Le Riviere.
Okay, Le Riviere. Mason Templeman's, whoever, the top stock guys, like take money home.
Right.
Like, and it would be interesting to see those guys racing kind of under that pressure, because we're always racing under that pressure. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, now there's money involved, which maybe there is for those guys. I don't even fucking know, but I mean, it's definitely different.
Did you see, so I did my first purse race for the RC Pro-Am, and the way that we did it. So I'm so glad that you're saying what you said, because the way we did it was, okay, we're paying $1,000 to win, $500, $250 for second and third in e-buggy and nitro buggy both, right? And the way I made it happen was the pros got to draft an intermediate and a sportsman, but the sportsman points at how they finished in their mains was way higher than intermediate, and intermediate was higher than pro. The pro was relying on the sportsman and the intermediate to do well.
Well, who got the money at the end?
The pro got the money, but it was supposed to be about, because I don't pay amateurs. In my opinion, if you want to make money, you race pro.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. You guys do get paid. This is your business. If you go out and take out Dakota, you got one coming, and vice versa, right?
So I guess what I was saying is kind of anti. I'm being a hypocrite on my own, because I was saying pay the lower class, but I was just saying, why do we have all these lower classes?
True.
So, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just every time you fucking involve money, it's difficult.
I agree. I think it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah.
I mean, in the racing world, money brings out the worst.
Yeah, I mean, even with NASCAR, it's like, dude, I'm a huge NASCAR fan, and it's like you watch these dudes every week. They're racing for fucking millions of dollars every event.
Yeah.
But then at the All-Star race, there's $1 million purse at the end of the line, and then you'll just see the gnarliest moves, the craziest takeouts, and it's just like, it's made for TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes it more spectacular to watch, and that's kind of like, I think Brandon Rohde knows that. Like back to Visions, it's like, hey, that shit's gonna be on TV. It's gonna be on MAV TV. So it's like, if we're gonna throw all this money at these dudes, like that's what's gonna make them amped up,
right?
Which is good, and it's good for that aspect of it. And luckily, right now, it's just kind of like staying at that one event. You know what I mean? Like that one event, we can kind of do that.
But honestly, if that altercation didn't happen that year, it probably isn't worth a shit. Honestly,
I mean, I don't know. I was pissed is I watched the TV coverage, and like I watched it, and I was kind of bored a little bit watching it, and so I fast forwarded to the end, and I was like really hoping they were gonna show me make a jackass of myself on live TV or on TV. I'm like, man, I'm gonna look like a dipshit right now, but some people are gonna enjoy this. You know what I mean? They didn't show any of it.
And they missed the mark.
Yeah.
They missed it.
There was no interview afterwards. When people get in a fight on NASCAR, they chase them down and they fucking interview both parties, and they get both sides.
Get in their face.
Then, their fans can argue online and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I really wish that would have happened, because it's like that happened organically, right? Like that whole situation was just, a bummer. You know what I mean? Like me and Ty are good now, but like it happened, and that would have probably happened at any event, but it happened there. It was on TV. Like, man, I wish they would have caught that.
Right.
Because I was looking forward to seeing it, even though I was the dipshit in the situation as far as the physical aspect of it. But I was thinking, I'm like, man, if I was ever going to be an asshole, like this is the right time. Like maybe this got some, kind of traction on this TV thing.
Well, it definitely built up a whole new line for you and Jason with the no apology side of things.
Sold some shirts off of that, which is cool.
But I think we need more of that. I'm not going to, I don't want to be a hypocrite myself.
But I think that's what
we do need personalities.
And that if there was TV coverages that kind of highlighted that stuff, which I know that's what their goal is with that. And again, it's money and time and logistics, but like a Supercross and NASCAR and whatever, like they're selling not just the product that they're putting on the track, but they're selling the people, the drivers, the riders, the football players or whatever. It's like you see these. So that's how you get people that are really fans. It's like, oh shit, I can relate with this guy.
Absolutely.
And like, oh, and now I'm watching him perform at the highest level in the thing that I'm addicted to.
Yep.
Right. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
100%. If you don't have something to root for, someone to root for, you have nothing.
Right.
That a sport, a hobby, anything that's competitive, if you're not rooting for somebody, it's not worth watching. Yeah. No one's paying attention.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're not a fan of it, your attention span is nothing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not really that into football because I don't really pay attention to it. And they would probably do a better job of putting their guys' personalities out there and like get to know who these dudes are a little more. You know, maybe, I don't know. But like Supercross, I don't really watch enough, so I guess I can't really comment. But like Supercross, they do a good job of that. Like Dirt Shark's great to watch. You know what I mean? You kind of see the behind the scenes shit going on. So, but in RC, it's like anytime there's a camera put in front of our face, it's always at that professional level. So like everybody backs down their personality.
It shouldn't be.
Right. Well, we're never really like, this is probably honestly one of the first times I've ever just been able to, I might get some backlash, but whatever.
Fuck them.
Like there's a camera there and I got a microphone here and I just feel like I'm just talking.
That's
whatever.
what it's for. Right. That's the beauty of this.
And that's like you said, nobody fucking listens anyways.
Yeah, exactly. This will be the most watched one that we have. No, but the problem we have right now is like you guys need to be able to be you.
Yeah, but then the internet fucking destroys us.
Fuck the internet.
I agree, but the companies, I've gotten backlash on the internet. I've been fined, never been suspended, but I've been fined. I've had talkings to. I've had this. I've had that, and it's like, well, dude, it's a passionate situation. You know, like when you're in the heat of the moment and you're a passionate person, your worst traits are going to come out.
Absolutely.
Right? And it happens in everything. So, and nobody's ever kind of held me back. I'm not saying that. But I know a lot of people that in this industry that really hold back.
Yeah.
And I think it holds them back on the track as well.
I don't like it. I'm just going to tell you I don't like it at all. Not one fucking bit. And I'm going to tell you right now. Like, I got a question. When you sign with a company like Techno, and I'm trying not to be super specific, but I want kind of like a broad. I'm trying to go
I'm here
broad
right now, so that's fine. Yeah.
But if you sign with a company like Techno and they hand you a contract, it says, because I know nothing about this, very little anyway, and they hand you a contract and you read through it and you're like, well, look, I want to be able to be myself. I want to write in here that I can't be fined or anything for speaking my mind in an interview, like after a race.
That would never happen. I mean, there's obviously things that are very detrimental to a company, right?
Like what? Like this car sucks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And ultimate professional is not going to say my Techno sucks, right?
Well,
but you could say this fucking guy.
Well, not even that. There's just clauses in in every contract. Any contract I've ever had, there's always clauses that just basically like actions detrimental to the overall appearance of the company or company's
likeness and all that,
whatever.
Right.
You know, so it's like, but that's in every contract.
Sure.
You know, so it's like
But is it up for interpretation, or is it like
it's obviously?
Do you walk in and say to when you're getting ready to sign a new deal? Do you walk in and say, "Listen, I'm who I am, and when I get interviewed and after a race and I just lost national championship because I got took out, I might say something, and I don't want to be fucked with when I say it."
Well,
or
it depends on. No, I think I've read all my contracts obviously before I've signed everything, and they're all basically the same. It's kind of more of like when you're talking to the guy that's giving you the contract face to face, and what they're saying, like
a mutual understanding.
Yeah, I've always been a guy that like, I would rather talk, like I said earlier, I'd rather talk on the phone. I'd rather meet you face to face. I'd rather have these conversations face to face, and then what you present me, you know, maybe there's something specific in there, and I go, hey, what about this? And they go, dude, we're just covering our own ass. Like, you do you. You know, and that was kind of like how Techno was. You know, like, they're just like, look, we got to cover our own ass on a couple of these things. So if you if you get completely fucking out of control, you know what I mean? Like, we have legal recourse to go, no, right? So then it's on you to know that you're not going to do that. You know, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. You
right.
know? And to get completely out of control is like, you got to really be bad.
Well, we're not talking throwing fists and stuff. We're talking like if you're mad.
But the worst thing you can do is like come off the driver's stand from a bad race and somebody shows you shoves a camera in your face and you just start going off about the car, right?
Right.
Like the car sucks or the motor sucks or the tires sucked or whatever. Like
those brands pay you.
Yes.
Those are yours. That's your livelihood.
So like if you word it correctly, you're like, man, my car just wasn't feeling right, or these tires, I picked the wrong tire. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of blame what you want to blame if you just come across or kind of eloquently.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, NASCAR, like you said, you're a NASCAR fan.
So like if
Kevin Harvick comes off and says, my pit crew sucked. My car didn't handle good. We suck today.
Yeah.
Like, you know your equipment's
like
good, but you had a bad day.
Right. It's like you kind of like spin it in a way to where you make it about us, right? It's like, okay, hey, my tires weren't right. I picked the wrong tire. They didn't have any fucking grip, but I didn't drive that great. I maybe put the wrong. Well, you didn't put
all the blame on the tire.
Yeah.
You put on you and the tire.
You got to just be careful about it. You just can't come off and like, man, my fucking engine was terrible.
But are you allowed to come off and say, this fucking guy just wiped me out.
Yes.
I can't wait to see him at the next one. You know, that's what we need more of. And it's not that
But we don't ever have a camera in the front of our face walking off the driver's stand.
We need more of it.
Yeah.
You're going to have it this weekend.
We don't. So, I mean, we always have time to make sure that, like, what we say is correct. And, you know, and a lot of the time, none of us would ever say that. I mean, trust me, there's times where you want to go off about a certain thing. You know what I mean? And but you can't. That's the professionalism part. You have to just chill. So, but then when you're back drinking beers with your boys, you're just like, motherfucker.
But holding somebody with personality back, I think actually hurts the company because you have fans and they know who you are and they want to know the real.
Well, if anybody knows who I am, like I don't really hold back. I might spin it a little bit, but if I'm getting interviewed about a bad event, which that's the kind of the shitty thing about it, is you never have that side of it. You know, there's not like a TV broadcast like at the Worlds. You know, Mod did a great job. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is there was no, like, they should have went and interviewed Spencer after that amazing race that him and Ongaro had in the 4-wheel drive.
I thought he was going to get him.
I mean, I did too.
One more lap.
Oh, I mean, how awesome would that have been?
Yeah.
You know, one dude got Ongaro, the other dude got Spencer.
And you got to get him right off the driver's stand.
Fucking then.
Right then.
Like, that's literally what everybody else does. Like, we want to hear from both sides. Like, you want to hear some shit.
Yeah.
You want to hear the guy's personality. Spencer just lost the Worlds at his home track. And a lot of people don't realize this, but that's his place. That's fucking Hobby Action. That's Spencer's track, right?
Yeah.
He just lost that race to a dude that has never been there.
Yeah, and only built that car a week ago.
And it was his teammate. And he ran Spencer's setup.
Exactly.
And he built it when he got there.
Oh, my
Dude,
God.
the amount of emotions that was running through Spencer, like, I mean, I was close. I was in the whole circle. And I felt fucking terrible for the kid. Like, rough.
Right.
The interview would have been spectacular. It would have been so much better. Like, because I know Spencer has a good personality, and he would have held back some, but I don't know if he would have been able to. He would have said some things that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it would have been obviously he's on the bummer side of things, but still,
He's pretty PC, but at least you'll get the
But if you
emotion.
get somebody in the right time, like, it would
It's all
be
about
good.
timing. You're right.
Yeah.
You got to get it right then.
Yeah. So it's like we don't ever have that. We don't have the winner versus loser thing. You never have that. All you ever hear about is from the winner.
Right.
You know? And so when you hear about shit going down, like people getting in fights or like getting in arguments, it's by accident. You know? Like, it's just the camera happens to see that.
Right.
You know? And then it's a big deal. Right? Because it's like, people don't see that all the time. But that shit happens every fucking week.
It does. And
I mean,
we need more of it. And not I don't want to call it like drama, but we need the personalities. Like I said, you got fans. Dakota's got fans. Spencer, Tebow, Lutz. Like, there's names that you guys all have a following. People buy cars and motors and tires because of you. We need to hear more from you, you know? And you're right. Like, you're an exception. You give pretty much honest feedback when you are interviewed. Like,
I hold back some, but I don't as much as some.
Right.
You know, like,
you're more of a, I would say, quote unquote, real person when you're on the microphone.
and I think a lot of it is because I don't go on the internet. I don't really look at Facebook. I don't really look at Instagram. I mean, I do, but it's not for RC stuff. I just kind of scroll and check shit out. but I don't really care what people are saying.
I know.
You
It's
know?
the best way to be.
Like, I could care less if you like me or you don't like me. Like, I know who my friends are. I know who, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if some dude living in his mom's basement is talking shit about me, I could care less.
I've always said, dude, like if I didn't have to have a business page, I wouldn't have a personal page. Right. And you can't have a business page without a fucking business without a personal
you can pay
page.
somebody to take care of it.
Well, I know.
Well, I don't pay Jason, but Jason basically does.
Yeah, which I knew.
Yeah.
But still, the fact is, I don't have that beautiful symbiotic relationship where I have somebody or.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky as far as that goes, for sure.
Yeah.
But he knows also that
fuck the fucking Facebook.
If I was involved, it would be like, or if I was doing it, it'd be like, if I won, it'd be like, I won post, right? I lost post, you know, and then
it'd be like, fuck this guy.
I wouldn't answer
post.
anybody's questions, you know, like I don't like how much fucking access everybody has. It's it's kind of too much.
It's made gangsters out of pussies is what it's done.
You know how much like information there is now? If you're willing to actually look how much more information there is on the internet for these RC cars, for anything. If you're just, but everybody wants the quick answer. Like they want a message, they can direct message you. And if you don't give them the setup sheet they're looking for, you're a dickhead. It's like, motherfucker, it's on the website, dude. Like all you got to do is go to the website. It's there. Why do I have to send it to you directly?
I just got done telling fucking Kevin Abbott, who's a dear friend of mine, says, I forget what he said something about the schedule. He said, what time something about Masters of Dirt? Literally. I said, have you looked at the flyer that I spent a whole day fucking making?
Right.
Look pretty, fucking read well.
Yeah, I tried at this, buddy.
I fucking put it in writing. Everything for the week. He's like, I didn't look at it. And I was, that's like you said, the information. It's there. I posted the flyer. No one reads it. Why even make it?
Yeah.
Do I just put Masters of Dirt?
Well, because if you didn't make it, you'd have 200 people asking you that question. Right? So like you make it, but so one guy did it and it pisses you off and he just happens to be your buddy.
No, it's not one guy. But that you're
Yeah,
right. You're right too. Like the volume, you're right. It's not a bunch, but anybody that asks me, I just send them a picture of the flyer. Right. Oh, and most of the responses I get, oh, I should have looked at the flyer. I'm like, why did I even make it?
Right.
You know, you didn't even look at it.
Well, I mean, it just I don't know.
It's laziness,
Well,
entitlement.
Kevin, he just started a company. Maybe he just, you know. But
yeah, man, we need more. I don't want to say dramas and like shit drama, fake drama, but having personalities clash is okay. Yeah. We should spotlight that because without that, the pros, when you get to that level, that's where everyone strives to be. Everyone wants to be paid to do it. Everyone wants to take their hobby to the next level, but not everyone's going to. When you're at that level, it should be highlighted, spotlighted. It should be very much the thing.
Yeah.
That's what we should all be watching. We shouldn't. Everyone says we need more video of the sportsmen and the intermediate guys at like PMB or whatever. It's not the case. If you want that time, put in the work, get to pro.
Well, when I tune into Supercross, like I don't watch
250s much.
Or I mean, whatever. Like, what's the fucking shit before that? Like, there's the 3-number riders out there on the track too.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that. I could care less.
Personally like to watch the pros.
The only reason that you're involved with that is because you're kind of involved with them and like, oh, I know this guy, right? Like, I want to watch this dude or some shit like that.
Yeah,
you
Fords and Chevys. He runs a Suzuki or a Honda or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like, so if we wanted this industry to grow, it's like, yeah, they need to highlight that stuff. You know what I mean? And there are great personalities involved. You know what I mean? Like, I would say I'm pretty fucking crazy. You know, like especially if somebody's like, hey, you can just do whatever you want. Fuck, that'd be a problem. But you know, it'd be entertaining, right? It'd be. And I know Cavalier's the same way. Brock can fucking pipe up. Shit, Dakota's really quiet, but that dude's told me to go fuck myself a couple times. And every time it happens, I'm like, whoa.
Dakota's the silent monster.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean,
like
same with Spencer, same with Dustin. Like, all these dudes have this fiery side. They're racers, right?
Yeah.
And if everybody got to hear that and like saw, you know, it'd be way more entertaining.
I agree.
And people would like it, you know. But yeah, you just, like I said, you don't ever get the camera in your face when you had the bad run.
Right.
You know, like
it's only when you win.
It would suck, right? As far as the competitor side, I would be pissed. But that's when you're gonna say what you want. Yeah. Even if I say, get the fuck away from me.
But your followers want to hear that.
Yeah.
They want to hear you're
like
mad
Kyle
about...
Busch walking away and he's just pushing the camera away. It's like, you know, NASCAR. I don't know if people know who Kyle Busch. People know who Kyle Busch is. But like he's walking away. He's like fucking pushing the camera out of his face. Like, I love it. I love that. Like, I'm so pissed. I don't have time for you right now.
Yeah.
You know, like if that happened in RC, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
We need more personalities.
Yeah. So it's like you need good guys, you need bad guys. And the only way you get to that point is if you know. You know what I mean? Like you just know what these guys are doing.
I just hope the companies behind them will let them be who they are. That, which goes back to what I was asking you before. It's like, yeah,
I think basically if you're not directly bad mouthing a bat product, then they're okay. And as long as you're not like getting in fist fights and destroying the product and just outright being a shithead.
Yeah.
But you're just being you in the heat of the moment. There's no way these companies would be pissed about that.
And they shouldn't be.
Because either way, it's publicity, right?
Exactly.
You know, so it's
I always heard there's a famous phrase. It's like there's no bad or
there's no. I get what you're saying.
There's no bad publicity. Right. I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Or whatever. There's probably a really good phrase.
But if you're just outright bad mouthing a specific product that's going to potentially affect sales. You know what I mean? That's not good.
Right.
Obviously, you don't want that.
Well,
but
Techno or any brand that you're running doesn't want you to badmouth what you're running because they're paying you to run it. However, for you to be mad at somebody else for an action that happened or something.
There's no way any of these companies would be, I know for a fact they would not be upset if everything stayed within a certain boundary.
Yeah.
Right? So
in the heat of the moment.
If there was a fist fight, right, and whoever threw the first punch, that person might be fined by their company. You know, like a little bit of fine.
Because they're an aggressor.
Right. The dude that defended himself, there's no way you were defending yourself.
Yeah.
Right? But if both people are just yelling at each other about something that went down on the track,
you need more of it.
But if you're out there hucking your car off the jumps and like cutting the track and trying to take somebody out, that's not good. That's not a good look.
Right.
And then if you come off and you're just straight blaming the product and you're just, you know, highlighting one thing that you felt kept you from the win, that's not good. You know, but if these companies aren't going to prevent you from being you and having emotions and being in the moment and stuff like that. So, but like I said, we're not ever put in those positions. And when we are, and it's caught on camera, it just happens to happen.
Right.
So then when it does happen and it does get publicly broadcast, it's a fucking major deal.
Yeah. Which we saw at the Visions race.
Right,
it turned into like this.
Yeah.
It was like 2 months long of people wondering what was going to happen.
Right. And it's just like, well, that shit happens all the time.
Yeah. And by the time you and Ty were at the next event, it was almost over. It was basically
there was still, the internet was still fighting each other, and me and Ty were fine. You know what I mean? So, because they just don't realize that it happens all the time.
Right.
You know?
I mean, you guys are all...
Not between Ty and I, but it just happens that driver, we're racing.
Yeah. And you guys are at the top, so you're going to see each other nose to tail at some point on a regular basis.
Right.
I want to switch gears because I want to know a little bit more about. I know it's a fucking totally abrupt switch, but I want to know more about like Ryan Maifield not at the racetrack. What do you do for fun? What do you do when you're not on the clock, when you're not testing, when you're with your family, or when what is your pastime?
Well, I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I've always been, I'm not anymore just because of family and time and stuff like that, but like going to the sand dunes. I've had side-by-sides for a long time. I kind of grew up going to the sand dunes with my parents. My dad had a buggy, and I rode a quad and a dirt bike in the dunes. Going camping, like I like the outdoorsy shit. You know what I mean? But I like something with a motor involved at the same time. I hate fishing. Fuck, I can't stand it.
So boring, man.
Yeah,
I've been trying to learn to fish, and it's just not me.
Yeah, I get it, but I just can't do it. Right?
Too much quiet.
So yeah, And so yeah, I've always I love like I take my family camping. I've always gone to the dunes. Not really doing that anymore. I was into mountain biking for a long time. I just have some guns. I got into that for a little bit. I flew RC airplanes for a long time. Not a long time, but I got into that. That was cool. But yeah, just right now, I guess the biggest thing I did before kids was go to the dunes. I had the side-by-side stuff. That's what took up my, that was my hobby. That's what I love to do, and working on that stuff. I'm pretty mechanical. Like any lift kit that goes on any of the trucks I've done it myself. I've done my house. Like not everything in my house, but I'm hands-on. I want to build shit. I like doing that. So nowadays I have 2 kids. I have a wonderful wife. I have a son and a daughter, and I race RC cars. Come home and we have a free weekend. My wife just started a salon, so she's a hairstylist. Nice. So, well, she was working for a salon, and now she's doing her own kind of booth rental thing. Her and her friend kind of rented a space, so she's kind of transitioned into her own boss. So that's taken up some time, kind of getting that going. I bought a boat this year.
Kind of boat you get?
It is a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha.
Like a ski boat or
yeah, it's
like a bow rider? Or?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's a twin engine, open bow, nothing crazy.
Okay.
It's a 22-foot boat, but it hauls a lot of people around. It hauls beer, which I'm into. I put a little stereo
I'm a pontoon guy.
Yeah.
All about beer. Yeah. All about hauling people.
I can put my Yeti in the back. I put a sub and
Amen.
Some speakers. It sounds good.
Party.
Yeah, the kids love it.
What more is there to life than fucking racing and fucking going on the water? Like, to me,
well,
that's life.
The boat's a lot of fucking work. It's a lot of work, man.
I love the fucking boat.
You can't I would come home from the dunes and just put that buggy in the garage and it'd be dirty for months.
Bro, doing it wrong.
I know, but the boat, you have to... So... There's always time. It's always a time.
You go to Havasu or where do you go?
I went this year with the Westergaards and Dylan Nelson. Those guys.
Yep.
So that was cool. And then when I came home, we were talking about buying a boat. And then we went there and the kids loved it. And I'm like, fuck. I guess I'm buying this boat. So we bought a boat and then we used it a ton this summer. We used it, I think we were out 15 times.
Good.
So that's what was cool about that is that it's when you go camping or go to the dunes or side by side or whatever, it's like kind of a weekend deal.
Right.
It's really hard to plan those kinds of things, especially with our schedule. So this boat was good because it's just like wake up in the morning. I got 4 or 5 lakes around me within an hour or so.
Okay.
So we just hook it up and go.
So what is your schedule like though? Like, so if you have a race week, okay, what are your days? Do you have like planned days off?
I mean, like,
or?
so I
travel home Monday.
So basically, I typically leave on a Wednesday, come home on a Monday, and that's not every week, obviously. But I would say it's at least on average, it's 2 times a month that you do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so I guess if I go to an event on Wednesday, like this week, I came here today. This is Wednesday. Fly home Monday. Get home as early as I can. I get home at like 10 or so, and have some family time. Basically, I try to get home on Monday as early as I can.
Sure.
And then all of Mondays, my wife doesn't work Monday. My son gets out of school at 1, so we can just have like a good little family day there. Tuesday, I do ordering or just preparations for whatever the next week is, working on cars. Wednesday, the same thing. Like, basically, if I'm home and I'm in the garage working, you know what I mean? Like, getting the next shit ready for whatever the next race is. But then I got school pickup, cooking dinner, whatever. My wife works as well, so it's definitely a 50-50 job in our household as, who's doing the chores, who's not doing the chores, whatever.
Sure.
She's out working as well. So, and then on to the next race, basically. And then if we have a free day where we're both, then we try to go do something,
Do you try to keep X amount of weekends open a year? Like, is that your like contract or like your mindset?
Not really, but I mean, there are, there's obviously weekends that we know are going to be open and we look at and just try to plan something. You know what I mean? Like nothing crazy. I mean, we go camping, so it's like you hook the trailer up, go camping for a few days. If we were trying to involve like Jake there, my buddy's best friend, if we want them to go camping with us, then we try to like schedule that out. A couple months in advance, just so everybody can get on this. That's the hard part is that
your schedule's not going to align with another racetrack, like that's tough. That's tough.
So it's like we have friends that aren't into this industry. So it's like, they go, hey, we're going here, we're going there. Well, we have to just we're just like, oh, we actually have this weekend off, so we're going to go.
Right.
Right. So then it's tough to kind of like, so I've basically found myself like, I have a good little friend group at home that involves all these young little pricks that race RC cars, like Spencer Rifkin and Jackson Brunson, Mike Truey's around, and the Denny's, and Jake Thayer and his family. So it's like sometimes our schedules, basically most of those dudes and my schedule are about the same.
Sure.
So we do a lot with those guys, like have dinner at my house or their house or whatever. So I love entertaining. I love having people at the house, and everybody's invited all the time. Basically every day somebody's there, between Spencer, Jackson, Jake, Truey, everybody, so Tanner. So we have a good little community in Arizona. And then if I can involve those dudes in the extracurricular shit I'm doing, like going camping and boating or whatever, then we do,
Sure.
So yeah, we try to have, a normal life, I guess.
You're able to have that mix though.
Yeah.
Professional and home
Yeah.
life.
I'm not traveling every week. There's no way I could do that.
Do you put in, and I, once again, getting kind of personal, but do you put in your contract, like, I need 10 weekends off a year or 5 weekends, or you just...
No, because there's only so many events, right? And it's like, honestly, we probably, if the company wanted you to, you probably could fucking do something every weekend.
Right.
There's a ton
Oh,
of
no,
stuff.
you 100% could every weekend. You
100% could. And so I don't really club race much because it's just, I actually don't club race at all.
Right.
Because I don't have time to. Like I have time to go to these events. I have time to prepare for the next event. And then if I'm going to the track while I'm at home, it's to prepare, like break in engines, break in drivetrain, test, whatever. Like last week I went to California to test, to test. There's no race, So basically at the end of the year, it usually equates to like 35 weekends of something.
It's not bad.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of weekends.
Yeah.
It's more than what I get.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. Right? It doesn't sound like it's a lot, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot, especially with a family.
Right.
It's
young kids too.
Right.
The older they get, it's a little bit easier.
So I'm lucky that when I'm home. I don't have to go to an office. I don't have to leave the house when I'm home. I get to work at home. And, my family leaves, obviously, like, especially
school, work, whatever.
But I'm home. So if they're there, I'm there, and we can have that time.
That's good.
So...
I'm a big family guy.
Yeah.
So, and I love my family, and I wish I could spend way more time with them than I can.
Yeah.
It's, but...
That's the burden of owning your own business.
Yeah. And owning your own business, or just being in an industry that you travel a lot or demands time, and fortunately for myself, we're pretty successful. So it pays the bills. There's no like getting away from it.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
and my wife, very similar, it sounds like to yours. She's, very understanding of the fact, like, okay, I have to have a presence there, or I'm, sometimes I go racing for fun.
Right.
And that's not a very big thing for me because I'm not great, but I go because I just need to get away. Yeah. I need to do what I want to do. But family's so important. And that I've asked this question with a lot of the top pros that I've had in here, and it's important to me to understand how you guys, and I think for the few people that watch, to understand, like, you guys are humans, you're human. You're not just this robot who fucking shows up at the track every single weekend, lays down the law, goes home. You're this, I win. I'm national this, DNC that. It's not about that. Like, it's a job.
Yeah.
Like, this is a career for you.
Yeah. It is a job. And it's, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many other careers, like, there's no clocking out, right? Like, you're just, when I'm home, it's like I have to do these things until they're done, right? Until I'm ready for the next event. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's no clock. Okay, I'm going to work from 9 to noon and then take a break. And then, like, it's just, you have to just get this shit done no matter what, because I can't go to that next event until my shit is ready.
Right.
And my ready is that when I get there, I can put it on the track. Right? Like that sounds weird, but it's when you're racing all these classes, like I want to leave my house And all I have to do when I get there is put tires on that thing, and I can put it on the track.
Right.
You know? So
that's being prepared.
To get these cars to that point is a lot of time. You know, that's setting your radio up. That's making sure the motor runs right. That's making sure the drivetrain's broken in. That's making sure the tires are mounted. That's making sure the fucking bodies are stickered up and ready to go. That's making sure the starter box is charged, the radio's charged, the receiver pack's charged. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the checklist at home that I go through is like, okay, when I get there, so that's the time at home, right? And the only way, you know, that's multiple drivetrains broken in, that's multiple engines broken in, that's multiple cars sometimes.
So on a 2 week in a row race, what's your turnover time? 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, I come home Monday and leave Wednesday.
So you got 2 days.
So I try not to do that because it's damn near impossible to do a back-to-back event and be successful at that.
Right.
Like, to have 2 races in a row, I'm going to piss myself, by the way.
If you need a break, bro, we're good. Just
Can we do that?
yeah, dude.
Leave that
Jesus.
Fucking tequila.
All right, so Mayfield sucks and he's got a small bladder.
Yeah, for sure. That tequila.
You want more?
Yeah, I'll do another little sip.
Okay. Well, then if you do it, I'll do it. Where were we? What were we talking about?
I think we were talking about
Turnover?
back-to-back races, yeah. So anyways, I don't know. I've never thought that you can do that successfully unless you're racing. You're doing like an A scale race 1 week and then a 10 scale race the next week, because then you could, before you leave that first, you could have your shit together, right?
Your stuff's ready for when you get home.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
But it's a lot. So there's some times where you see, you know, occasionally you see guys like myself, Dakota, Spencer, whatever, like have an off weekend. It's probably because they're coming off of a back-to-back situation.
Right.
Or who knows? But it's like a lot of the time the schedule does affect your performance.
Sure.
Right? So, but it's our job at the same time. You
Well,
got to suck it up and just do it.
Your
you know?
40 hours, which obviously is way more than 40 hours, but when I say 40 hours, your 5-day work week is not Monday through Friday. Your 5-day work week is Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah,
and
but it's also I'm not complaining, right? Like there's no way I would be able to have a boss and get bitched at for whatever, and we have deadlines. You basically have to be your own boss in this situation, and you have to hold yourself accountable for stuff. You know, like you have to have a presence of mind that this is what you need to go to this event and be successful, right? And for me, the only way that that's possible is putting time in at home, like to where, like I said, I want to show up to the track. And it does take, what pisses me off is it takes away time from family.
Right.
Being home. But there's no way that I can go away from my family and make that time away worthwhile if I don't bust my ass at my house.
Right. I mean, you have to stay relevant to stay paid. Right?
Right.
So you can't just show up.
The only person keeping you there is you.
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at is like, if you want to go there and have the success, you have to be prepared.
Yes.
And if you want to be successful, you have to have the mentality, the work ethic, and you have to put the time in.
Yeah, and you have to think that you're getting outworked.
Sure.
If you don't realize that, if you don't
point.
think that somebody's working harder than you, then you're never going to work hard enough.
That's a good point.
Right.
A lot of people have to understand that. Once again, going back to the few people watching, like you have to understand the guys that are getting paid to do this put in a full fucking time job to do it.
Yeah.
It's not come home after work, wrench, go to the race on a Friday, race through Sunday and go home Monday and work on your regular job. This is your job.
This is my job. This is what I do.
40, 60 hours
home,
plus a week.
I'm not just sitting. I mean, trust me, I find the occasional nap on the couch.
I don't even know what that means, but okay.
But like, there's just a lot to it. It's the booking travel, ordering parts, organizing rental cars with people, and there's like we kind of do it all. There's a logistical side of thing of like how you're actually going to go to these events, organizing fuel, organizing tires, which I'm pretty lucky about that because J Concepts basically handles that for me.
Sure.
So like I'm pretty lucky. I have a great group of guys that like, if I have free time, it's because some people are helping me do some stuff, and I realize that.
Right.
But
you earn that. Don't be so humble there again, the reason you have that is because you work so hard to get to that point. It wasn't just given to you.
No, I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, whatever. I've done this for a long time, right? So I know what I need to do to be successful. And I know that, and I think, so back to J Concepts, Jason, he knows that like certain things don't click. They're not clocked on my radar, right? Like fresh bodies and ordering tires and shit. But the car stuff is what I'm focused on. You know what I mean? And so this other stuff I've always seen like as kind of like I'd go to every race with a fucked up body if it wasn't for Jason.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because not saying it doesn't matter, but it's just like I'm
making he doesn't want a fucked up body.
No, right.
On your car.
Of course.
Because you're the
his
most
body.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's his body.
So high profile.
So he wants to make sure, so he's always just been like, hey, what you get on bodies? And I'm like, I don't know. And then he's
might
like,
need a few more.
He's probably got 2 or 3 races worth of bodies sitting there for me. You know what I mean? Ready to go, which I'm lucky on that part because luckily because of that, I don't have to worry about that shit. So I can focus kind of on other stuff. Like I can focus more on my family. Like that's the biggest thing is like now I have a family.
Right.
And I've been able to still do this at a very high level because of guys like Jason. You know what I mean? And J Concepts and, all these companies have honestly been so great as far as that. Like they get that I need some family time. Yeah. Right?
And you can say whatever you want. Yeah, you can say any brand. Like
Techno's the same way. Everybody, honestly, everybody's been that way. Like they know that I'm doing a job that requires 52 weeks, right?
Right.
A year, period. And if I didn't have some of this like kind of support system behind me, I wouldn't be able to be a good dad as well.
Which is actually more important than your job.
Yeah, but I have to be good at my job to take care of my family.
Which is the catch-22.
Then there's the balancing act, right? So I've probably slacked on both avenues, some.
We all do.
But then I've tried to make it up when I can, So nowadays I put more emphasis on certain races. You know what I mean? Like I make sure I get my shit together for X, Y, and Z race. And then I make sure that I'm there for my kids. And my kids are young, so there's not a lot going on. But eventually, they're going to be older, and they're going to have recitals and fucking whatever.
Sports and everything else.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't really know how to balance it all.
I mean, is your son the next coming of fucking RC?
Probably more my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah,
I dig it.
My son is actually good at driving. He can drive the car. He's 5. He's not like good at hitting lines or anything like that, but he knows how to drive them at 5, which is cool.
That's spectacular.
But he's not super into it. But anytime I like one of those things is running, like her name's Cashlyn, but we call her Sissy. She's just like, give me the radio. Like she wants to do it, and she doesn't know how. She's 2.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But like you can see it, like it intrigues her for sure. So, but I'm not gonna force them into this. I mean, it'd be awesome if they did because I can probably do this shit for basically free.
I was just thinking, like, how far does the apple fall from the tree? You know what I mean?
I have no idea because my dad's terrible at driving. He got me into it.
I actually thought about, so you and your dad, once again, I jump around a lot. My brain is fucking wired weird. But like your dad got you into this.
Yep.
And I don't know a lot about the story, but I mean, how was that?
We had a rocky road.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, he got me into it when I was really young. And I think some of our rocky road was kind of involved. Like, revolved around RC. Like, you know, he was. I at a young age, when I was really young, I obviously had the talent for this, right? And he knew that. And a 6-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever, it's like he wanted me to focus on this stuff. And at 10, the fuck do you want to do? You don't want to do that.
That's tough.
Yeah. So he was maybe a little harsh in some scenarios, right? To where it maybe kind of like created this tension between us. And then when I grew up to be a teenager and like I'm obviously pretty strong-headed and opinionated, and so we butted heads a lot.
Does that come from him though? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And my mom.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They're both very strong individuals, and they're still together. It's crazy, you know.
Good for them,
Yeah.
man.
So
That generation, like, we need more of that, actually.
yeah.
But
So like obviously like through high school it was rough. I mean, I did some drug stuff. I fucking just, you know, typical dipshit. Maybe not typical, but you know, that was bad.
sounds like
I
we
did
lived
some
a
bad
similar lifestyle.
Yeah. So that all shit kind of went down. I mean, there was a period of time where I didn't really talk to my dad. But the reason I'm into this is because of my dad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's always had the passion for this. And, but nowadays everything's good. You know, because of him, I'm in this industry. I make a great living. I still have a passion for this stuff, and I got it from him for some reason, even though his best award he's ever got is like most improved driver in like stock 112 scale in like 1988 or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
He was there though. He was there.
He was there. So it's like but he has every damn trophy I've ever had. I mean, his house is like a fucking shrine. You know?
Really?
Oh my God.
So he's a big RC guy.
Yeah, well, he's a big Ryan Maifield guy.
Okay.
Right? You know, he's got anything I've ever won. If I give him a trophy, he has it.
Cool.
You know, a lot of the shit
Proud dad.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't say this, but some trophies get thrown away. You know what I mean? But if I give him something, he has it.
A
Right?
trophy worth keeping, you keep. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Like, if a trophy's badass.
Well, nowadays, if it fits in my bag to get home.
Well, we
You
ship
know?
trophies home, so you
Yeah.
win Masters. If you throw that shit away,
If I win Masters, I'm keeping it.
Listen,
Yeah.
if you win Masters, throw it away. You and I are gonna fight at the next race I see you. We will
Well,
fucking throw fists. Dude.
I'm just saying. Sometimes I get one of these like flimsy ass plaques, and I'm
Dude.
like, get the fuck out of here. You know. But,
another fucking sore subject with me, but we're talking family.
so yeah,
which is
I mean,
way
my
more
family's been we had a rough patch when I was younger. Now I'm 37. You know, so that
God
was
damn, you're fucking Adam Drake. You're about to be in the 40 plus fucking club, bro.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Well, I've always said, stop raising the fucking 40 to 50.
Now we got like
now
50.
I want 50 because you're coming to 40, bro. Fuck
Yeah.
that.
I'm not gonna race 40. But you know, we had a rough patch, and then you know what we figured out. You know, like now I have my son's best friend is my dad. Right? Like Kaysen, my son loves Papa. Like
Cool.
that's his guy.
That's good.
So, you know, I don't know if my dad probably learned some shit, you know, raising me, and he's pivoted or whatever. But the way he treats my kids is fuck, man. I couldn't ask for a better grandpa. You know
Second
what I mean?
time around's always easier.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you know, obviously during he was raising me, it's like there was money situations, and you know, there's other shit going on. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so it is what it is. You know, he made me. I'm good. My mom made me. But all that shit made me who I am.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
better
like,
for it.
I'm good. I'm good with who I am. I'm a great dad. I hope I am. I'm a good husband. You know what I mean? Like I try to be. Everybody has off days, obviously, but so at the end of the day, I sleep well knowing who I am, and I know it's because I came from who I came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but thankfully from them, I am doing this. Like they're the people that got me into this. And they're
Sure.
the people that push this, kind of, and they're like so outgoing. Have you ever met my parents?
I have not.
Dude, they're fucking crazy.
I mean, I've seen a picture of your dad. Like, he's got a long beard.
But
know,
they like talk to fucking anybody, right?
Cool.
And so like back in the day when they'd take me to races in California, which we didn't have money, but like they would save up and, you know, spend every last fucking nickel they had to take me to a race in California. And by doing that, they made contacts in the industry that I've used through my entire career. You know what I mean? Like Mike Reedy, You know, like my mom would make my greedy coffee, sit down and have conversations with him. I met Rick Hort through that stuff. Kinwall. I mean, I met everybody back then when I was really young, but because my parents were so outgoing, you know, and like just willing to talk, right? And so, at the end of the day, it's like because of them, you know, I am who I am, right? So
it's so important.
But I still got to give my dad every fucking RC thing he ever wants, right?
Man.
So he still races. He wants to race everything. And
is he still active back in? Is he live in Arizona?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So is he still active in RC?
Yeah.
Does he race at Hobby Action or?
Yeah. He races sprint car. He wants to race sprint car. He's got everything. You know.
Awesome.
So he's like the most pure hobbyist there is. Like,
which is 99% of what we deal with.
Well, luckily he doesn't really have to spend any money.
Well, for him, yeah. What was your first RC car?
Well, the first picture I had, my parents have. Well, I remember the picture. I don't remember doing it, but it was a Tamiya Blackfoot.
Blackfoot.
I think so.
So you're 37. I'm 43.
Well, I was like 3 or 4, and I'm like pushing around the backyard like a Tonka truck.
Yeah.
You know, but it was a Tamiya Blackfoot, which is like a monster truck thing my dad had.
Right.
So then the first thing I actually raced was probably an RC10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gold pan?
Well, 93.
93. Yeah, I mean, that's like B1. Yeah, that's close.
It might have been, I think
like,
it was a used black chassis with wide A-arm, like a long arm car.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
So did your dad race while you were like kind of coming up?
I think so. I don't really remember much from back then.
Okay.
As far as like if he was racing and I was racing at the same time, but I know I raced novice. And
do you remember like when you first held a radio and like,
no.
you can't remember that back?
It was...
I can only remember shit like that. See, like my wife gives me hell because I don't remember yesterday and like when she needs me to remember something for our family, but I can remember back in.
Well, I remember bits.
The 80s.
I remember bits and pieces, right? I don't remember details.
Right.
So, but sorry to interrupt.
No. I grew up in Arizona.
Yeah.
So I was born in Tucson. So for me, I spent a lot of time in I think it was Tucson Hobbies or I forget, but when you walked in and you saw is that my first RC car? So my dad built that Falcon in my garage. I actually walked into it. He had like a towel or blanket covered up, and I looked and I was like, I saw my Christmas present. It was kind of one of those things, but I was obsessed until it broke. And we, it sounds like we're similar in the fact that my family owned a business, our landscaping business. We didn't have a ton of money, but we did fine. We were mid-class. And but it wasn't like, okay, Dad, I would need to go to the hobby shop and get parts. It was like, if we get to it, we get to it.
Yeah.
And my dad's always in race cars. And we went from, I was always into like quarter midgets and then moving up from that. But the hobby side of it was always, man, I wish I could just play with more toys. The Traxxas didn't exist at the time. It was all Tamiya stuff. But I wonder like what does it take, because we deal with it every day. Like what does it take today with the internet, the technology? What does it take today to get somebody to not just bash, but to move from wanting to fucking trash a car?
It's attention span.
Dude, you hit it on the head.
Yeah, there's
do you put it in the closet and forget about it, or do you fix it and fucking want to do more?
People want immediate fucking fun, right? Or whatever. They want to like get their fix now.
Yeah.
Right? And
can you imagine 4-minute fucking nickel metal batteries?
Well, back then there was no internet, there was no video games, there was nothing. It's like you either did like shit, I don't even know. How many things could you do back then as a hobby?
BMX bikes,
whatever you were doing back then, you left the house to do it.
Exactly. And didn't come home till the streetlights came on. That's
And now you can do a million things and never leave the fucking house.
Never leave your bed.
Yeah.
So stupid. Yeah. God, I hate that shit.
So I don't really know. I have no idea I don't even know how this industry is going to fucking survive, to be honest.
You're right.
Like, it's pretty insane. But I know that's what we did as a family back in the day. You know what I mean? I know that's what there was a ton of families that did it back then. Like
Right.
that's I met a lot of friends, and a lot of the friends I have still to this day are from them. Their parents got them into it,
Right.
And their passion excelled them into whatever they're doing now within the industry, right? So I have no idea, but I mean, it's just. I guess the good thing is that RC is more accessible and it's easier to get into. So if you're selling to more people, you have a better chance of that 1 in 10 guy sticking with it.
Is there a brand today that makes RC more accessible?
It's obviously Traxxas.
Okay. Just I want to know, like, if you recognize that.
Yeah.
We sell a shit ton of Traxxas, obviously.
Every hobby shop. If you're not selling Traxxas, you're doing something.
The problem is they're stealing our customers right now. And I have a problem with that. And I've told my rep and all. But the fact of the matter is,
How are
hobby
they
shop,
stealing customers?
because they won't let hobby shops sell most of their line online anymore.
Well, it's just business. That's them not. They don't give a fuck about the hobby side of things.
They don't.
They're just trying to move product.
Right.
So,
however, I spent 10 years building up a customer base that buys from me because of me, or I say me, but Beach RC.
yeah.
And now they took 75% of their product line and they've said, you can't sell it online. You have to buy it from Traxxas.com, which means, hey, fuck you, all the customers that buy from you because they love you and your service and your quick shipping and whatever.
Well, I will say, if companies like that are going to do shit like that, somebody's going to answer that.
I hope so.
Right. Like, there's just no way. That's never happened in the history of anything to where there isn't an answer for that.
There's got to be.
Right.
Because that's
our
fucking...
industry, as far as the racing side of things, is big enough. It's not big, but it's big enough to where somebody's going to see that void and fill it. Right.
It's got to be.
Maybe Traxxas is shooting themselves in the foot here.
It could be the one time.
Maybe. I mean, I don't really know what the fuck they're doing, but that would be dumb on their part, because if I'm a racer, I've been a racer for decades, but if I'm talking to somebody about getting into it, I recommend them to get a Traxxas
Who
Slash.
doesn't?
Right.
Who doesn't? And that's the problem I have.
So if they're going to take that out of hobby shops that actually have a track, they're stupid.
No, so they're not taking it out of hobby shops that have a track. What they're doing is taking it out of hobby shops that spent 10 years building their online presence and saying, you can't sell it online anymore.
Oh, okay.
It's not just me. It's A-Main. It's anybody that has online presence.
So basically, if you have a brick and mortar, they'll still sell to you.
No, they'll sell to me even with the online presence, but we can't sell it online.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is, I've spent a decade building a customer base.
That's like, how do you support a track without selling online? Yeah.
At this point in time, there's not many tracks that aren't selling online.
Traxxas is never going to look at it that way because they don't give a shit about racing.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And they've kind of blown
why they've blown up the way they have over the last 25 years.
In a sense, they're smart, but also they're neglecting a whole other niche part of the market.
They don't care about that, though.
They don't.
They don't care.
It's too small.
So it's like, it's going to take somebody that actually cares about that to fill that void.
Like Billy Fisher and Red Cat?
Maybe. I mean, shit, there's a lot of big companies. Like, I mean, honestly, I wish Horizon did some more of that stuff.
Yeah.
They
have been with Arma. Yeah. Arma's a competitor, for sure.
Well, I know Arma and Traxxas legally go after each other all the time.
Yeah, because they're definitely a competitor.
I mean, dude, when I was with a company before, not Losi, I remember a fucking patent book from Traxxas like this thick.
Wow.
Right? And like, anytime they wanted to make something, they had to like search through
all of that.
sure. Like, they fucking patented everything. But as long as it was on a race car, like Traxxas has crazy patents about like belt crank steering. They patented that. Wow. Every goddamn race car has belt crank steering, right? So if it's just, I mean, maybe I'm being a little too vague about it. Like, it's more specific in the patent book. But they're smart as far as that goes. Like, they've really tried to, like, they're smart, but it also prevents growth within the industry, right? So,
but they're so strong in their marketing outside of the industry.
They do a good job. I mean, they sell great stuff. I mean, the shit's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a ton of Traxxas RTR stuff, and shit's good.
Yeah, it is. It's hard not to push somebody to it.
But they definitely don't care about racing, so they were... Yeah, I mean they're for sure looking out for their own.
They're pushing that sledge to be like a truggy.
Really?
Yes.
Because I have one, and
They've come out with all the carbon stuff. They're coming out with all aluminum fucking like everything for the corners. Like they're going to try to make that truck their
maybe
truggy.
somebody's there like pushing them, which would probably be bad for the industry.
Yeah, because they got the power.
Because they got the power to be like, oh shit, that hub looks similar to ours. Lawyers. You know?
I would hope that they would say, we just want to beat them, instead of saying, oh, that looks like ours.
Well,
but
that
you're
would
right.
be if they have the racing mentality, right? You know what I mean?
I mean, Jenkins is a fucking racer. I mean, he come from the whole...
Yeah, but he's also a money guy.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to make money.
I heard he was going through a divorce too, so there could be like a situation he needs more money. I don't
doubt
know.
it.
I don't know.
I mean, fuck.
That's just what I heard.
Yeah.
You know, allegedly.
I mean, if
Allegedly.
like within the industry, you know how much like, well, take Traxxas out of it. Like within the industry minus Traxxas, do you know how much copycat shit's gone down to where legality wise
there would be nothing left.
nothing.
Like
These companies just realize, or
let's
they
make
don't
it.
have,
Let's base it off of this and make it just a little different.
yeah, they don't have the money to, or they're just also like, fuck them, let them copy it. We're still gonna beat them.
Let them sue us.
Yeah, who cares? Or not that. That's what I'm saying. Is like I've never heard of any race company that copied another race company getting sued over that, because probably they don't have any legal foothold. You know, they didn't pass.
It's a lot of money, dude.
You know, but you know how expensive and time consuming it is to patent all this shit.
Or sue.
Yeah.
So you tie up so much shit in legality.
But if a company like Traxxas got involved with racing, that can kill racing if they come into it the same way they come into their RTR market.
Right.
So like
Good
that
point.
would be the fucking worst case scenario.
Oof.
You know,
Well, that sledge is fucking looking like
but
a racetrack.
at the same time, it would tie them up in so much money and lawsuits and bullshit, because they would be suing fucking everyone at the same time, because these race companies come up with shit so fast and they're copying people on accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Like a
grand
lot of the
scheme, they are.
times, like they're just like, some of these companies just happen to get to the same point, because there's only so many things that work.
Is there a new design that can be put out? Like, are we just so fully copycat that we're overlooking a full blown fucking
Of course,
better design?
But it's not because that people are worried about copycatting. It's because of money. I mean, of course you could make these cars way better if you had unlimited money. You know, like, do you think our shocks are optimized? Fuck no.
Not at this point.
No. Like,
No way.
in our disc.
Shocks are definitely an exception. If you take the rest of the car, because shock,
You can make the car so much better, but what kind of shock is going to support that car?
right? Well, so like shock, the way shocks work and the amount of
Well, the problem with the shock is that if you made it more expensive, look how much exposure they have to accidents, right? And so you could for sure make a set of shocks that would revolutionize how a car drives, right? But they'd be $500,
right.
right? And then they're going to be involved in a crash, and they're going to get damaged. So maybe if you could buy them once and guarantee them to never be damaged, people would be on board with that. But then you have to completely re-engineer the car, right?
Is that not silly though, that somebody who's willing to spend $500 over a month of crashing their car on the same set of not good shocks versus spending $500 on a great pair of shocks?
I'm just saying that's potentially what a shock could do and what could cost, right?
Right. But
Because,
people they're so short-sighted.
like, you look at our shocks, like the way they function and the way they work is like a set of Midas shocks you put on your Honda Civic versus a fucking trophy truck shock.
Right.
Like, look at what a real race car shock does.
Right.
It's insane compared to what we're working with.
100%.
Like,
I remember when Wally was testing those, I don't even know the brand name of that shock that he was testing, but it was more like a motocross shock than what we have.
yeah, I mean, they've got bypasses and internal bypasses, and there's shim stacks, and there's fucking, fuck.
Yeah.
It's endless,
Yeah.
dude. Like, they got high
That's
speed,
where the
low
technology's
speed,
at.
mid-speed.
Tires and shocks.
Yeah.
That's
right.
where the technology's at.
So it's like, but you can do that. You could do it, but it would be insanely expensive and very fragile. And these cars have to be able to literally be thrown off a 2-story building and survive. That's basically what we're doing. So the revolutionary side of things is never really going to happen. That's why we've got to this point where a lot of the cars look so similar, because only so many things, one, work well on the track, and two, survive the abuse these cars are going through. So that's why a lot of these companies end up on damn near the same platforms. And then you got to pick on, well, each company uses a different material. What material is better? What vendor's better? What's the price point? How much is an A-arm? How much is a fucking whatever?
It's endless.
Yeah. So a lot of the cars look similar. They look different. And then what's the price point? What's the survival of how long does a fucking part last? You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't think we're ever going to see some revolutionary design. I mean, I think the last time we ever saw it was, recently the Agama buggy. That was pretty revolutionary.
That was revolutionary.
And the only thing that I've seen that's revolutionized a portion of the industry and been successful, like race winning, is the Awesomatics touring car. Like that thing is fucking. Have you ever seen one of those?
No, I'm so clueless when it comes to
Okay, well, you need to look at a touring car and then look at an Awesomatics touring car.
Okay.
Insane. Like, I have no idea even how the shock fucking works on that car.
Really?
That's insane. Like, beautiful car.
Okay.
Unreal.
I'll definitely
look
research
that up. It makes the Agama car versus our car, like, their shit's so ahead, So.
But I mean, do you think going to the Agama car, like, do you think there's a future in like lay down shocks like that?
I think that's a specific surface type thing.
Definitely high bite, like
fucking
full blown high bite.
I would think, but then these companies that are running,
like Formula One.
Yeah, I mean potentially, but then there's companies like that have been doing this forever. Like they just have so much information, they're gonna be able to keep up, right? So I don't know, like unless Angaros and Maifields and Dakotas and Spencers are running a car like that
back to back to what you're running now.
Yeah, like, and then you have these companies that have all these decades of knowledge to back that up, and people watching. Like I don't know, like I think Agama has a rough road ahead of them to make that like the car.
Well, they weren't really like in the limelight to begin with.
You're right.
They weren't a top brand.
They went out on a limb to do it.
Yeah.
And I applaud them for it.
100%.
But they're probably going to lose their ass on it because
it's so different.
It's cool, but then once you lose that, like, oh, it's cool, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
So all
it's got to work and it's got to be an advantage.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then everyone's going to go back to the top
back
drivers.
To, like, the value of dudes like myself getting paid to run these cars. Like,
exactly.
Proof in the pudding.
It's value.
Right.
It's value.
Like at least show it. Like you need a guy that's going to show what it's capable of doing.
Right. And they don't have that. Unfortunately, they don't have that.
At least intrigue somebody.
Yeah.
Right. So
they need to spend the money.
And trust me, these companies like Associated and Techno and fucking Hot Bodies and all these Kyosho, all these companies are capable of doing those things. They just know better. Like they just know that it's going to be more of a specific platform and how much money it would cost to get it to where it would work on all these different surfaces and survive all these different abuses. Like it's
got to be more universal.
And they're already selling cars.
Yeah.
So why would you just put yourself into this point where you're potentially not selling cars and you're working harder and spending more money?
Oh, it could be turmoil. Yeah. I mean, people could just flip on a dime. Yeah. It'd be over.
Right.
That's the kind of move that can kill a company or make a company.
So like Agama was smart to just be like, well, let's just give it a shot. And it looks cool. It's bitching. Like I want one just to have and look at it, check it out. You know what I mean? But I've watched a couple go around the track and I'm like, it goes okay.
Yeah.
Like it circulates around the track. But I've never seen, like I watched Tyler Jones run. I mean, we don't have to get too specific about this car, but it works. Like the concept is there.
Right.
So
with some refinement, a top driver, and a couple good victories.
The fucking wing mount's so gnarly looking.
Wow, like a single fucking post.
Yeah.
And
that's one of those things where when you do a design like that, now we got to go throw it over a 35-foot wooden jump at P&B.
Yeah.
But is it going to survive?
But who are you selling it to? So once again, knowing your customer base, because it's already tough enough to throw a fucking pretty good molded 2-post fucking wing mount to a sportsman. Go ahead and try to throw a single wing mount, aluminum, whatever it's made out of.
Well, it's gonna bend every time you crash.
Yeah,
So it's like that's the thing is that with that design, it alienates those parts to where they have to be radically different and substantially less strong and more expensive.
Right.
So that's the scary part about doing that kind of stuff. So absolutely, like you said, there's for sure ways to make these things just crazy.
But you still have to know your customer base.
Well, you have to make it affordable.
A Gamma in the United States is very, very small market share.
Yeah.
Like if Techno were to come out with a single post wing and sideways shocks, their fan base would fucking be crazy about it and buy it. Even if it didn't work, they would buy it.
Yeah, but there's always that tipping point. Because what if Techno, let's just use Techno and Associated for an example. What if Techno came out with that, right? And then Associated came out with just a normal car, a new one. And their guys start winning with that a ton, right? And now, it's cheap. It's like the normal price. And oh shit, well, okay, all the Techno guys go, oh, we're so stoked on this new platform and we spent all this money on this thing and it sucks. But this other thing's $200 cheaper and winning and it's strong and blah, blah, blah. So then you just lost all your customer base.
I kind of feel like we're talking about hot bodies right now.
I mean,
because a very similar thing just happened.
But did they ever really have a customer base?
They had a huge customer base.
Where?
I mean, for whatever I knew, everybody.
I know like 30 people that I can name, which I'm not.
Well, you're on the West Coast. It's different out here. So like we have a different translation of like customer base because
but they like to give a lot of stuff away.
Mugen, AE, whatever Ryan Mayfield's running on the West Coast.
I mean, I know Hot Bodies has sold a lot of stuff, but they also love to give shit away.
That's 100% facts.
So, I mean, I don't. Yeah, they definitely. I mean, that new car, their old car was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I never ran either of those things, but just visually watching.
No, they were doing well though. Yeah. Like even a guy that didn't race much, who was like mid pack, could do well with
I just know
the
that
819
in the pro world. Like, say we're standing up there, like the A heat or whatever. We're standing in line for practice. Let's just say Dakota 9. We're standing there, and we're watching cars go around the track. You can know, watching. Fuck, that car's dialed.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't be saying this, but whatever. It's like you're watching that car and you're like, God damn, that Hot Buddy's car looks awesome.
Right.
I don't even know who's driving that thing right now, but you can just tell it's working well. The car is functioning correctly. And they threw that thing away. And they made something new.
I didn't understand it. And I didn't understand it either. I'm still trying to figure out because...
Well, what's funny about it is like everybody left after there. Like, I mean, the people that were involved with that project, they're not there anymore.
And that's what I'm trying to... And this isn't a knock towards anybody involved with HB. I sell HB products. I sponsor HB drivers. Like, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of the people. But they took a platform that was very successful, and even the like mid-level guys could look like another step up.
Right.
And they've made it to where people are unhappy. Yeah. And I wonder if it was because the people testing the changes drove differently or harder or whatever it was.
I mean, me looking at it, I guess I would think there was like they just wanted to make something totally different. I mean, the like scrub radius on that car.
They needed a new platform. Like, what do you need? Like, if your shit's good and you're winning, or fucking.
That's the hard part about this stuff. Is like, like I know Associated for a fact has struggled with that for years with the two-wheel drive stuff because their two-wheel drives sell like fucking wildfire.
And it's always been good,
right? But they specifically spend so much time to make sure that specific car is correct before they put it out, right? Before they put it, but they have to change enough of it to like make it new, right? So like,
because who's gonna buy it, right? If
like,
it's not
like,
new,
it's like, we changed the ball cups and we've made a new kit. Like nobody gives a shit about that. You got to change something, right?
It's got to be something.
So
substantial.
Like it seems like maybe Hot Bodies didn't realize what they had. Like they didn't realize that car was so good because they didn't have enough guys out there just fucking winning with them.
Right.
But when the guys that are winning the races, we're watching those cars and we're like, that thing's good. It's really good. So that kind of comes back to the value of guys like myself. Like when our shit's fucking dialed, we're winning everything. And then that's when the customer goes, oh shit, okay, then now this guy's winning everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and that kind of puts a little value on the car. And that makes the company kind of go, all right, well, when next time we need to make a car, we need to kind of like do it more calmly. You know, like when you're not winning, that's when you fucking change everything.
So should a company come out with caster blocks instead of a new kit? Or whatever the part is that makes it better. Should they say
no
819.2?
It's no
2, 3 are new parts.
I think a company, it's impossible to find the right time and the right parts to sell a kit. If that's what you're worried about, you're never going to sell a car, right? So you have to get to the point where you're like, okay, this is what we got. This is pretty good. Now we got to fucking sell it. And then you got to put it in a kit and you got to sell it. But you got to allow your factory guys, your drivers and your engineers to continue to develop while those cars are being sold, right? And then you got to make, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So
like,
why not?
So you make slight
I'm going to talk
changes.
S-Works just because that's what I know right now, right? So we're S35-4 and we have this Evo kit, right? Instead of saying, and this isn't factual, I'm just saying hypothetically. Instead of saying S.4 35.4 Evo, we found caster blocks and rear hubs that are better. Okay, let's just say that. We're not going to change the name of the car. We're not going to change the kit number or anything. We're just going to say, as of this date, it's a 0.1 or whatever. Kind of like Techno has done in the past. You do like a point, and really all it is changing 2 parts. We're not changing the whole platform. We're not changing, but we're like just doing a running change with the parts that are working today that we've tested 1,000 times.
That's what you should do. Like, because those are race-proven parts.
Because all you can do is throw them in the kit.
Yeah.
Instead of like changing the whole kit when the manufacturers are making it
like
overseas.
A lot of these companies, there's always a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but I guess what were we talking about? Hot body stuff?
Well, it started off with HP.
It seemed like they just went from a car that was really, really, really good that could have a few things that would make it even better. And they just took the main things that made that car so good, like the front end geometry and the rear end geometry, and they threw it away and they made new shit, right? They took their base. So that's the tricky part, is like, you can't take the basis of why your shit's good and toss it.
Because you're not dealing with seconds, you're dealing with tenths.
Yes.
So at the pro level, if you change...
And now now you're putting these things in these kits that have been tested only on a specific surface.
Right.
These cars have to be
on a different tire,
yeah,
on a different freaking, all kind of.
Yeah. So basically, I think the smart way of what I've seen companies do is that like eventually you got to figure out, okay, like if you're a brand new company, Brent Ryan's company, we're gonna make a car, right? We're gonna design a car, build a car, and we know there's all these things better, but we gotta fucking sell this thing first, right? So you just get to the point where like, okay, this thing's pretty good.
We need a solid level car.
Yeah, sell it. Okay, this is what we know goes around the track. It's pretty good. We know it's not the best, but it's pretty good. So you start selling it, and then okay, now we got these other things. Okay, let our factory guys run these things. Race prove these other things, and then once those things start getting on this car, you realize other things that need to be changed to kind of compensate for these parts. And then you get to the point where there's like 30% worth of kit difference. That's when you make another kit.
Right.
Right? But you have 80% different of backlogged of parts, right? So it's like every time there's a car that's coming out, there's also another generation of car there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we know like the pros are always like one step ahead. Okay, you're on prototype
sometimes
stuff.
we're 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Sure,
but these companies.
But who are we selling to though? Are we selling to the 90% guys that are not on a
when
deal?
When these companies are selling these kits, you know how much inventory they have to buy?
Oh, a lot. I know that.
I mean, a fuck.
Because we're not dealing with just America. We're dealing with Europe.
I mean, like
we're dealing
I think
Asia.
most people don't realize that when these companies are ordering kits to sell, and by the time those kits are in, there's millions of dollars invested.
100%. Yeah, we're not dealing with America. Like that's what you and I talked about that a little bit earlier. We're not dealing with just America, Asia, Europe.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about all the other molds plus, like you're paying for molds to get made. And then all of a sudden, I mean, shit, I've seen it happen as far as like a month. Like, 1 month we're like, hey, let's make this. And then a month later we're like, fuck.
That thing sucked.
We need this.
Yeah. But you have to project too.
Yeah.
You have to project on
but you have to eventually say, this is what we got. It's good.
Yeah.
I know there's something better, but we got to just put that on the back burner.
And we got to get rid of the inventory.
Right.
Which is the hobby shop's fucking worst nightmare.
Yeah. Well, if you have a successful company, they time these things right.
Right.
Right. And I think there's a couple companies out there that have done a really good job at that. Like I think the way X-Ray comes out with a car every fucking year, there's no way.
Two times a year.
There's
easily.
No way they're dealers and customers like that.
I don't sell X-Ray for that very reason.
Yeah, and then they got one ARM that's $22.
I don't sell it for that very reason.
That's what people don't realize is it's such a fucking crazy situation to where you have to order enough stuff to never sell out, but you can't order too much stuff to never sell it.
Right.
And then you have to eventually sell something, but it's never the best thing because you always need something else to sell.
You can't sell what you don't have.
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two is you can't fucking sell what you don't know's selling. And that's what you guys are running. And that's the problem. I'm not blaming you or the manufacturers because
that's
you
our
have
job.
100%.
So like we have a double-sided job as far as a pro driver goes is that we're helping develop the car. And the only way we can do that is by racing
testing and trying. And
well, no, in a racing situation. You know what I mean? Like, the only way you're going to know if that shit's actually good, like, okay, you go test it, and like, it was better at that one track versus this part we currently run. But now we have to go race with it and see how it competes with everybody else. And then the fucking public sees it. And then now we're like, fuck. But we have to do that.
Right.
So if the company's smart, they just like kind of blow it off. Well, yeah, we're developing this shit for we're just trying something, right? You kind of got to blow it off.
If
right?
you're not working.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I get that part.
That's the only way we can test it. So it's like, it's such a tricky situation to where you're like, okay, we want to continue selling the car we have. We have X amount of inventory. We have to sell it. So we got to make that car look good, but we have to plan for the next car. So this is our plan to change this car. We got to race it at these events, but don't let anybody see it because we don't want them to think there's a new car coming.
And you don't want them to not buy the old inventory.
Right.
Which comes down to not only just the racer, but the hobby shops who believe.
I would never want to be the guy that's making those decisions.
Yeah.
Right? Like somebody at these fucking companies have to make those decisions to where we want to go win. We want to give our guys the best shit possible. We know this stuff is better. But we
still got $20,000 in this that we have to sell before we can.
$20,000.
I'm just throwing a number
about
out.
Like 5,000 kits.
I'm just throwing a number out.
I know, but I'm just
yeah.
That's what people don't realize out there is like
to get the price down, they have to buy way more.
Bigger numbers involved with this stuff than what people realize.
Right.
So that's the crazy thing. So like when a company allows us to actually run prototype parts at an event, and they're prototype parts that are easily seen with the eye, that's a big step for that company.
Sure.
Right? Like that kind of lets you know like they're willing to be like, okay, there's something coming. Or they like whatever. Maybe that's just that part.
But people shouldn't be upset with the pros that are trying prototype stuff because that should be their cue of...
People don't realize that
they're working to help us.
That's our job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes we're running prototype stuff that's not better.
Yeah.
You
don't know unless you run it.
Yeah, we're there proving that we're there seeing what it's capable of.
Yeah.
We're not there because we're not running it because it's better most times. Sometimes we're running it to prove that it's not better.
You have to.
Who
knows if you don't?
Right. So it's like, that's the crazy shit, is just people don't realize this stuff.
Yeah.
And
But when you tell somebody,
but the good thing about all this stuff is it gets the internet fired up, right?
oh yeah.
So
when you tell somebody, like, you're running, I'm going to throw some like hypothetical bullshit out there, but you're running like 0.3 arms on rear arms on your car, and people, and you're only at a 0.2 to the public, and people see like, goddamn, those arms don't even look like what I'm running. And you tell them to go run 0.2 arms with this, and this. You knew that worked good.
That's the right setup.
That's the right setup.
Right.
The only reason you're on 0.3 is because you guys won't fucking...
That's the reason why I have my shocks apart.
Exactly. But you won't even know if the 0.3s are good if you don't run them.
Right.
But you're telling them what you knew worked.
When people walk up and they see those things, that's why we try to hide it as much as we can. Because when they see that shit, they're
want
just
that.
Immediately like, oh, fuck.
If Maifield's running it, that's what I need.
Yeah.
Which in the future, if that's what works and you guys are selling, that's why it sells, because Maifield's running.
4 arms.
Exactly. But you're still telling people to run 0.3.
Yeah.
Because that worked when you were testing.
Yeah. So it's racing. It's constantly being developed, and it's literally being developed in front of the customer's eyes.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to say, get fucked, nerd. You know?
Yeah,
get fucked,
you
nerd.
do.
Because the fact of the matter is they're going to be like, they're going to challenge you. Well, you're running that and you're telling me to run this.
Yeah.
Look, motherfucker, I'm running this because maybe in a year, I can tell you that this is the best.
And the only reason, and some people get it, you know, some people get it, but a lot of people don't, you know? And it's just, I mean, fuck, how else do you think this shit's getting evolved?
They don't understand.
You know, so...
Once again, it goes back to preparation, time, and effort.
But I mean, now that I'm in this, I've been in it for a long time, but it's insane the amount of money that goes into these companies. Like, as far as like the balls it takes to go like, this is the car we're going to sell, and now we have to buy X amount of those cars. Do you know how much money? I mean, you know, it's fucking nuts. The amount of initial investment it takes to do that is insane. So, of course, you have things developing for the next car. Right. Because you're hoping to always better yourself. You have to continue to better yourself.
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
I mean, it's pointless to pay you.
Like, and there's no projections. Like, there's no way to go like, okay, if we buy this car, we're going to sell X. Like, you can hope to, but there's some projections, but not really.
Can you imagine, like, if you were Daniel or anybody who owns a company... And you guys like found like, all right, you tested for a year. This car is fucking tits. Like, it's going to be money, right? And then all of a sudden, while that car is being produced, you guys are trying a prototype part and you come out and that motherfucker is just like gangster. Changes the game. I know. That's what I'm saying. And so you've got all these kits being made. The mold's already been produced. You're fucking 10,000 kits.
That's when it comes to the company going like, I mean, some of the smartest plays I've ever seen is that, and this is a double-edged sword. It's like some companies don't let their drivers test the parts. But 9 times out of 10, that makes the car, once it gets to production, isn't good. It doesn't come out of the gate winning races. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
they think
because they
project.
don't want, the companies don't want their drivers to know that there's something better. Because they think that we're mentally incapable of going to these events and not being allowed to run those parts and still succeed. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So, and that's how a couple of these companies function. But if you don't let the top guys on your team run those parts, how are you ever going to know what they're actually capable of doing?
The real question is, what do you pay them for? Because if you're not trusting their ability, then you shouldn't have hired them in the first place.
Well, you also have to just get it through their mindset and know and trust them to be mature enough to understand that you're not allowed to race with that part.
Right.
Right? Yes, we know it's better, but you just can't race with it.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want the public to see this. We don't want our customers to see this because that's how you develop the car.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right? But if you don't involve the top guys, then you come out with sometimes a fucking melon.
Yeah, a flop.
Yeah. And then you just, I mean, fuck. You just wasted so much money.
Time, money.
You know? Like, so, I mean, I can talk about it now because it's been so long. When I was unassociated, that's what happened with the CR8, I think is what it's called. You ever heard about that car?
No.
it was an associated car, A-scale car, and an engineer basically developed it on his own, and the drivers were not allowed to see it. By the time we saw it, it was fully produced, like done, and it was completely different than what we had been running. Like we were running the RC8 at the time, right? Remember the RC8?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well there was a car made in that genre that was a completely different car.
Never released?
No.
Yeah, see, that's why I never heard of it. Because I got involved
It was literally produced, kits shipping to the fucking factory to sell, and it got shut down.
Wow.
Because none of us, Cavalieri and me, were on the team at the time. A couple other guys. No, we never saw it. We never saw it until it was fucking produced.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I went to Neo Buggy one year.
It's kind of like, what's the point? Why have you?
I don't know. Like, so one year I went to Neo Buggy with that car, and I TQ'd round 1. And Brent came back and was like, well, good run, but just so you know, the engineer that made that car just got fired, and we're not going to...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So...
Can you imagine?
I mean, I hope Associated doesn't get pissed at me. This happened like 2008. This is a long time. People know about that stuff, but it's just like... So that was like a mistake. Like nobody was allowed to see it except this engineer and like the people, like the inner workings of it. And it turned out to be that was the biggest problem, is there wasn't enough people giving input to make sure that the issues that the car had were resolved, right? So
that's engineering fucking 101 right there.
I mean, it's just...
All right, look, stop.
Okay.
It's my turn. I'm about to piss my pants.
Okay.
When we come back from this one last, yes, well, you know, we will not take another piss break.
There's no way people are gonna watch this for 3 hours.
Dude, they do.
Really?
All 5 of them.
All 5. Okay.
But I get to piss first,
Okay,
and then when we come back, we won't take another piss break. We will finish it before a piss break.
10 more minutes.
Maybe. 20. All right, so
first of all, we're gonna start this segment with I got a vasectomy recently.
So did I. Well, fuck yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
And my right nut is killing me. I don't know. It's been a couple months now. And
I've had mine for about a year and a half. So.
Really? Yeah, I got to go get looked at.
What?
Nothing better than a random dude touching your nuts. I mean.
So my doctor is like a friend of mine. So it's even worse.
That's worse.
Dude.
That's way worse.
It's so worse. But I'm going to get off. We went on this fucking RC tangent. And to be 100% fucking transparent, like this podcast was not meant to be all RC. Like I love talking people shit.
I mean, I think we've talked decent amount.
We have.
Yeah.
We have.
It's all right.
But so there's a couple things that I would be remiss if I didn't ask. And I just want to fuck around and all like, right. Okay. And listen, when I ask you questions, you can tell a story and you don't have to say names. You could say person A or John B or whatever the fuck you want. Okay. You never have to say it was this guy or that.
Okay.
But you will not remember this, but I want to bring it up. I met you for the first time when I opened up 1 year, it was about a year. It was at a Psycho Nitro. Might have been your first Psycho Nitro in Georgia at the old location. You came, you were pitting next to...
I was running Losi cars.
You were running TLR stuff or Losi. And you were pitting with the Kings right next to them, even though they were on K cars. They were like right down the way from you.
The Kings.
Cody and Paul.
Okay.
And I was in a stall, like you guys were here and the track was back here. And I was like in a stall, like right over here. It's selling parts. Brand new beachrc.com. Like fucking not even really in existence yet.
Right.
And me and my buddy Pete Funk, who helped me design that shop over there and was a big inspiration to me. He kind of kept my head level when I would get really upset when another hobby shop would open or a track would open. I'd be like, oh, it's competition. He's like, dude, you're going to outlast them. Like he was my guy.
Right.
So we went to Psycho Nitro. It was our first Psycho Nitro. Me and 4 guys loaded up in a rental RV from here in a small trailer and went there. And I was selling parts to try to pay for the way. And you told a story. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I want to hear if you remember this story.
I probably do.
I'm sure you do, but I want to know if you remember it. And so back in the day, I'm trying to like lay this all out so it makes sense. Back in the day.
Was it my story?
Yeah.
Me involved?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So back in the day, I never really heard the term dialed.
Okay.
So I'm trying to paint this picture. And so we're sitting at the table and we're kind of like, me and Peter just sitting back, just kind of hanging out because you don't know us. And we're like in starstruck air. You know, at that point, you guys are the badasses. We're nobodies. Still, I'm a nobody. And
yeah, obviously you're fighting with your fucking headphone wire.
Hey, dude. What is going on? So you start telling the story about a rental car and a drive-through.
Okay. Yep.
And this is the God, man. In me,
It was 08 St. Louis Nationals, I think.
That makes sense because this was probably I opened up in 13. Yeah, so it was a few years back when we had opened up. So you told the story, and I just hope you can remember it because it was a drive-through. I'm pretty sure Rona was involved, and so I'm trying to like remember it. I want you to tell me this story.
Well, the story is, as far as I remember, I don't know if it's exactly how you remember it, but this is how it went down was, well, first of all, to set the precedent or whatever, back then you could get, I mean, I was young. I couldn't get rental cars back then, but I remember these dudes destroying these rental cars, and I'm like, how the fuck are these guys paying for it, right? Well, you could get full coverage on these cars for like $8 a day, and you could just take the keys back. Like, oh, I don't know where it is. Here's the keys, right? So I was in Mark Pavitas' van, and it'd been raining a ton. So we're all staying at this shitty hotel across the street, and there's like a Burger King, McDonald's, or whatever across the street. So we weren't going to walk. So I get me and Mark and maybe somebody else get in his van, go. And Adam Drake was in front of us, and I don't know who was in Drake's van. And Mark kind of bumps him, like rolls up in the drive-thru and kind of gives him a little bump. And honking, like just being stupid, right? So then Adam goes to leave after he gets his food, and it was one of those drive-thrus that has like a curb around the whole thing, right? Like, like a 6-inch curb or whatever around the whole drive-thru. And so Mark gave him a bump, and then he took off. And when he took off, he like grabbed the e-brake, I think Adam did. And we watched as his rental van slid, hit the curb, and just broke the entire right rear tire off this thing, and it bounced into the grass, right? And he drives out of the thing. We get our food, and we drive out, and he's sitting there, and like we're like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Like he's out. Somebody went out and got the tire, and like they're rolling the tire back, and it's got the brake drum assembly, the brake line, like everything. Like it just snapped the rear axle of this rental van, and so we just drove away and ate dinner, and we saw him later that night. And we're like, Enterprise brought him, or whoever it was, brought him a new car. And we're like, what the hell did you tell him? And he's like, I told him a Girl Scout ran out in front of me. She was trying to sell me cookies, and I had to stop immediately and hit this curb. And I'm like, there's no way that worked. And he's like, I got a new car.
Oh, shit.
Dude. And there's way worse shit about rental cars. Like, we were in North Carolina, and this is like about the same time at the farm. You probably never got to go to the farm.
It was right after. I opened up like 2 years after the farm.
Okay, so the farm, we were there for, I don't know what the hell race it was, but there's this big-ass pile of dirt. Big fucking pile of dirt. Like, and Jeremy Cords is hitting it, like driving over it with his a Pontiac and Azteca. Remember those stupid things?
The ones that had like the pop out fucking back
they had like
tint or whatever.
Plastic shit on them. And so he's like, driving over this thing, right? It's like a 20-foot pile of dirt. Like It's a big chunk of dirt. He's driving over it. And then so Richard Saxon's like, oh, we'll drive our van over that. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So Cody King gets in the van, and Cody King's out the side door, and he's like hanging onto the side door and hanging onto the handle, right? And we go up over it, and like the fucking door almost like cut Cody's hand off because he's not sitting in a seat, right? So then we go around a loop and hit it again, and Jeremy hit it like way harder this time, caught air and lands at the bottom and like blew the motor out of this fucking thing. Like lands, and there's just steam and shit, and we drive over it, almost rear-end him because he stopped at the bottom, and we get out, and he goes to start it. We like pop the hood, and he goes to start it again, and the whole motor's just like bouncing, right? And we're like, oh yeah, that thing's done. So Humpty, the guy that ran the facility, towed him up to the front, and Enterprise brought him a new car on a tow truck. And he comes just barreling. It was a big ass field. Like you had to like drive up to the front to like get, to the asphalt. And then the asphalt was only like maybe 200 yards. And then it was just all big ass dirt field, right? So he just comes barreling back to the field in this new, brand new car and fucking does this huge oval track and hits this jump again, right? And then it survived somehow. And he's like, all right, I'm done. Like, just people used to just push the limits of these things so bad.
Dude,
So,
rental cars are, the story.
I have a video on my phone. It would take a minute to find it. Actually, Spencer, somebody would have it, but I was really enamored at Omaha. Have you ever been to Omaha?
Omaha.
Yeah, Omaha track.
I have not, but Alex and them.
Well,
are awesome.
it was like, so Spencer Rifkin is like a Tom Brady fucking super fan. So for forever, it was like Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl, right? And
Yep.
I'd bet Spencer, I would bet against Tom Brady.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, just
Fuck
to
that
piss
guy.
Spencer off. It's $100 every time, right? So like one time
You lost at least $600.
Yeah, but every time I'd rip the $100 bill in half and hand it to him, right? So we're in Omaha, and I'm in Omaha by myself, and I was watching the Super Bowl by myself, and I'm on the phone with him. I'm literally at the sports bar by myself. There's nobody else there at this. I went to this race by myself, and I get fucked up at the sports bar, and it's like a quarter mile to the hotel, and it's fucking snowing like a motherfucker, right?
Of course.
So I'm pissed that Tom won. They won. I think he was still Patriots at the time. So anyways, he won. So I was driving home, and I'm like, oh, this is fun, driving this stupid van around. So I started filming myself, and I'm like, oh, Tom won. Oh, so cool. Hey, boom, hit a curb, blow the fucking tire off the truck. Man, and then I hit another curb, and then I had to drive that thing at 4 a.m. back to the airport with 2 flat tires.
Oh, shit.
Like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again. But
Damn, dude. The traveling in rental cars has got to be one of the most satisfying and
I got more
unfun-
rental car stories. We don't have to go all night about it, but it's like.
But rental cars are definitely the focus of fun times.
It's not fun anymore because it's like it's so expensive.
They've made it
you
tough.
You have to like. I respect them more than my own cars.
Yeah.
You know, like I beat the shit out of my own stuff.
Right.
Like when I'm in a rental car, I'm like, hey, everybody, take it easy.
Right.
You know, like
no, you can't drive it. I'm
that's
the only driver on this. You know.
I drive the shit out of it, but like, I'm not. We used to literally jump them and like fuck them up. But
I traveled around racing a lot of motorcycle stuff, and there was this one time in Moline, Illinois, where I had a bunch of like top flat trackers in my car. I had one guy fucking like hanging out, and we were in some person's yard, dude. We found a yard that had a hump, and we were jumping it.
Right.
Like every time we would just go back out, and then we'd fucking go back and jump it again. And eventually I rolled the bumper underneath the front of the fucking thing, and I took it back the next day with the bumper like dragging behind the front tires. And I said, something happened.
yeah, whatever.
And it got stuck, and I didn't hit nothing.
Well, eventually they got enough effed up cars to where they're like,
Yeah, they've
all
changed the
right,
rules on us.
But
So that wasn't the story you told.
what did I tell? What did I tell?
Those are good, but like the one you told was about going through you went through a drive-through, and I can't remember it, so I was hoping you were going to tell me because I wanted to be reminded.
Okay, well, all right, so-
You're going through the drive-through, and it's something about like when you finally got to the end, you're like, dialed? God, I wish I could remember all of it.
Really?
Yes. God, it was me but we were nobody. You wouldn't even know who the fuck we were. Just like when there's 800 entries, you don't know who 95% of those people are.
I mean, that's what's tough is like you just fuck, man. Like James over here, your buddy. I mean, he's like, oh, I met you in Florida, at the where the fuck was it?
We're at Lake City, James. Yeah. Lake City
And I
Nationals
was
in like
oh, yeah.
2019.
I mean, I'm sure I did, but goddamn.
I didn't expect you to remember it.
Yeah, I mean,
Which brings us back to like Jake Steichletter at Wicked Weekend. Remember, we're having the Beach RC party, and Jake's like, "Yeah, you don't know who I am." You're like, "No, I don't fucking have a clue who you are."
Yeah.
And Jake's one of my boys, and he's like, regionally, he's a great pro. Like, he's a good racer, runs up front.
Yeah. Well, that was a funny.
And I told that story to Lucas the other night. I was like, listen, dude, Mayfield fucking was talking to Jake, and Jake was rambling. He was drunk, and Mayfield was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
That was the end of the night.
It was like, well, I was trying to explain to something, and like, no, he didn't want to hear it, and it was just like, all right, I'm out. Like, yeah, fuck. Well, like Spencer Eckert always says, it's like, dude, you get a little drunk, and you just like want to hold like a conference and just tell everybody what's wrong with RC, and I'm like, that's what I do. I mean,
but who doesn't?
Yeah,
because we all see the same issues.
Well, the problem with me is that
it.
I know all these issues, but I mean, I have no idea how to fix them. I don't fucking have the time to. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
it's not your job. Your job is to win races. That's what you get paid for.
I would love it to where there's enough money in this game to where there would be the opportunity for somebody like myself to do that. You know what I mean? Like, to where there would be like, hey, let's like, okay, I mean, shit, if being the Roar president paid something, I would love to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, to where like, hey, I'm not saying I have all the ansers, but
nobody does.
I've done it enough to where I kind of know what people
will
want.
respect your opinion though, because you have done it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
so
potentially.
That brings a.
Not saying I want to be fucking Roar president.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
saying that.
But that brings a perfect question, and it was something I wanted to ask you. Is like, what is after RC or competitive RC for Ryan Maifield?
I don't ever forecast myself not being in the industry. I have no idea what it is. I've never been that guy that plans too far ahead because I can't.
It's got to be tough because you started at an adolescent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you started as a kid.
Yeah.
And you're still in it today.
Well, I love the business side of things. I love the hobby side of this stuff. I understand most of it. I understand why these decisions are being made. And, you know, I think I can kind of fill a role in any side of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think I can race for a long time. I mean, obviously I'm not under any sort of assumption that I'm just going to continue to win, you know, forever. That's just not going to happen. But I think I can race competitively for, you know, a few more years.
Look at Drake.
Yeah.
I mean, he's competitive. He's making A's.
So, and then I have to do some things on my own and kind of build my own brand. I got to kind of be better about that stuff. But at the same time, that's tough because I don't want to like step on the toes of the people that have supported me.
Sure.
And the people that support me, right? Like, I would rather, and then it's tough to make, not to get too deep, but like, or it's tough to make the kind of money I'm making in this industry working for one brand.
Right.
Right. So it's because these companies they make money. They do great. But like the most wealthy people or the best earning people in these industries are typically the owners of these companies, and those are also the most unselfish people you've ever met in your life. Like the owners of these companies, if you saw them outside of the industry, you would never know who they are. They're closet millionaires, right? I think anyways, but they don't fucking live that way. You know, like they live a very, just, they pump all the, like any successful company, like the owner of that company is just pumping all the money back into the company. Like It's their passion, right? So it would be tough to just, I don't really, again, it's like, it always leads you to like, you have to do something for yourself. Right.
But the answer is you want to stay in the industry.
Of course I'm staying in the industry. This is all I know.
Right. You know? So that's your path.
I don't really know what my path is past racing.
But it's in the industry.
It's in the industry, of course. But I've never had the time to focus on something like that because I'm racing. Right. I can't, and especially now with the family, you know what I mean? Like,
which is very important.
I give my family as much free time as I have. And then I race as well.
Yeah.
Right. So for me to spend more time for me to find time to do something else, it would be, I just sleep 2 hours a night.
Right.
You know, and then what the fuck am I worth for the rest of the stuff? No,
you got to focus on what you're good at.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I have no answer for that, but I've also been a guy that like, I'm a good person. I know some people on the internet don't think I am.
Fuck them, man.
Yeah.
Fuck
But
them,
look,
man.
I know who I am. I'm a good guy. I can sleep at night. My family knows I'm a good guy. And I've always just trusted the fact that if you're honest, you work hard, you're a good person at heart, opportunities will come.
Treat people the way you want to be
Right.
treated and expect nothing out of anybody.
Yeah. So
dude,
just that's what I do. I work hard. I take care of the people around me. I do my job well. I be compassionate when I can be. I be generous when I can be. And eventually all those things come back to good opportunities and like continue to grow. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, you got a brand, and your brand is you
yeah.
right now. So,
And my brand's kind of on me. Like Jason's helped me kind of build a brand, and A-Main's also helping me. And it's like, it's kind of at that path to where for it to get bigger, it would take more time from me.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
you're just not ready yet. And
Yeah.
the fact is, you're still
But I'm
competitive.
thankful for these companies to give me those opportunities when I'm ready to, kind of
Absolutely.
take that. You know what I mean?
But you earn that. And so from the outside looking in, like as a company owner, I would be proud to have somebody like you, just like I am any of the guys that I take care of. You're an exemplary example of what we need and why people buy product.
Right.
So
Well, I appreciate that.
there's no one out here thinking like Ryan Maifield sucks. We're all, most people think that at least watch you're a badass and you have
I think most of the time
your
I'm more
own way.
misunderstood about some stuff because I'm not as open on the internet and shit, and like people don't really,
I wish more people were like that.
Yeah, but I like that. I don't really care. I mean, I kind of care, but I really don't give a fuck. Like, I don't want everybody to know who I am. I don't want everybody to know my personal life.
What was the last thing you saw on Facebook or Instagram? Right now, like today, yesterday, the last week.
Probably a trophy truck. I don't know. Yeah, I mean.
So that's
bullshit.
awesome because as a business owner in this industry, like today, I searched through all the shit that had to do with fucking Masters of Dirt and tried to post it on Masters of Dirt. I hated it. I hated every minute of it.
Well, you're doing something different than I'm doing.
Yes and no. You have a brand.
Well, I'm just not.
You're a brand.
I'm not, I know, but I'm not. My brand is racing, so that's what I focus on, right? So like, these are the RM2 stuff that Jason sells, J Concept sells, and like my RM engine line. Like, if I spent more time focusing on advertising those things, they would do better. But I don't have that time because if I spent the time doing that, my racing would fail.
Which is what you get paid for.
Which is what I get paid for.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword. So I'm a racer. I'm racing. I can still win races, and that's what I'm going to do. And luckily I'm going to try to be better about some of these things next year. Like, I think I have some ideas to where I'm going to use some people in my life that are good friends of mine and maybe allow them to make some money. I can make a little extra money, you know what I mean? And just kind of like do some stuff like that.
Sure.
But you got
to diversify. You have a brand.
Like, fuck, I walk into this area, you do this, and it's like, how many I walked in, I was like, how many businesses do you have? I mean, you got shit going on everywhere. Like, I'm just not that kind of guy. Like, I applaud guys like you that can do this kind of shit and diversify your time. You know what I mean? But I'm just not that kind of guy. You know what I mean?
But you're doing it right, though, because you're still able to spend time with your family.
Well,
you're still able to make a living.
Yes.
And you're relevant.
Right.
Like, people like me have to scrape to make money to pay for the other shit, right? I don't have the talent that you have. You have a commodity that people want.
Well, you have a talent of branding, and you're doing pretty good. So I think
I appreciate that. That means a lot because you've been in this way longer than I have, and I work hard, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat that side of things. But we look up to, like, we talk about people like you. We talk about Dakota and Spencer and Tebow. Like, we talk about you in-house.
And trust me, I think I don't know if a lot of people realize, but like I was saying, how hard I work. All these guys work that hard.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of time. And we get paid pretty well for what we do, but at the end of the day, if you did the math on the hours put in versus the money earned, well, it wouldn't make sense to a lot of people. There's
It's not
still
minimum wage, but it's
Yeah.
not like fucking making a ton of money
Yeah,
either.
but it's that's where the passion comes in.
Right.
Right. You know, and
Which
it's
is
like when
needed.
passion and talent meet, and then work ethic comes in. That's what creates what some of us are.
It's dude, I'm so glad you said all that, because passion, work ethic, talent.
Because if you don't love this, it doesn't matter how much talent. You know how many talented motherfuckers? I mean, I've seen a couple people come through this deal that are more talented than me, and they go nowhere
Yeah.
because they just don't have the work ethic or passion or whatever. You know what I mean? It just, you have to have it all.
Yeah.
And that's pretty unique. So luckily these companies kind of recognize that.
Well, I'm pretty sure, as we kind of like close things out, I'm pretty sure you know who your people are.
Yeah.
They've been behind you for a long time. You're not one to waver. You're not jumping brands a lot. You've been. I mean,
that's crazy. Is I've made a lot of changes, but I've also had a long career.
Very much so. And it's very visible. I'm not the only one that sees it. Everyone else notices it. You're not just a guy looking for money and killing the industry. You're fucking in it. You're in it to win it. I applaud you for a lot of things. One of the things that I've learned about you is we're very similar in the fact that like we don't fucking hold back what's on our mind. You know, it was tough for me. People didn't understand me coming in, but you're the guy that's been here for a long time doing the same thing I try to do, is be honest and be transparent.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier about you can't just come out and blaze glory and fucking say what's on your mind all the time, but you work within the lines.
Yeah.
And I'm very similar, but I work a little bit outside. Like I'm barely outside those lines. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But I can, because if people don't like me, I lose money. You're getting paid, but they're going to be like, hey, don't do that.
Right.
I have my own decisions to make. You do as well, but you kind of have like someone looking down on you. I can be like, fuck you, and they can be like, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
But I applaud you because you're still real. And that's why over the years, the last few years that we've been knowing each other, we've been getting along, because when we're at a race,
well, bullshit seeks out bullshit, right?
right. And we're still the same guys today as we were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. So we need more of that. We need more of you.
Thank you.
Lucas Loring, the fucking legend. Two last questions before we end. Okay. Number one, I'm gonna save the best question for last, because Lucas asked me to ask you this. But number one, I want to know what you think, without even touching the track for Masters of Dirt yet. What do you think of just the appearance of the track?
It looks fucking hard.
Really?
Yeah, it looks hard.
Okay.
It looks hard. I mean, we were just standing next to the track before we did this, and I was like, where are we starting? Where are we starting the mains?
It's true.
You know? I'm like, there's just a lot going on. And it looks pretty wavy, which is kind of interesting to me. Like, well, it looks fun for 10 scale. Because like normal 10 scale tracks, like every 10 scale track, I typically, like, they're the people building the tracks.
Flat with jumps. Flat with jumps.
No, not that. But the anywhere there's not a jump, it's like perfectly smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when I walk by today, I'm like, damn, this track looks like it's already rough.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But it won't change. It'll just be that rough everywhere.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
That's fucking fine. It's off-road racing.
Right.
Right. So I thought that was interesting. And the jumps look pretty peaky. That fucking back thing and the step up, I'm like, I don't even know what to do there. So, but I like that kind of stuff. Like, and I told you when I got there, I'm like, looking at it before I got there, it looked like that front section was kind of flat. Yeah, it looked like a straightaway with like a 2-foot ski jump. But when I got here, it's like a 10-foot pile of dirt.
It is.
Like people watching online, they don't even realize it's fucking huge.
A lot of elevation.
So it's unique. You know, like as far as 10 scale racing goes, I was like,
so you've been around the globe, dude. You've fucking done 10 scale around the world.
yeah.
One of the things we take pride in for Masters, especially Masters, like Masters is the marquee event for our beach RC, is elevation. We don't fuck around
Well, you did it
with elevation. We don't fuck around with elevation. So, all right. So my last question, and we're gonna end this because I'm grateful because a lot of people don't know. When we were over at the shop, you're like, bro, can we keep this to an hour?
Yeah, I mean, I got people were trying to go to dinner with me, and I'm like,
I didn't say it to you out loud, but in my mind, like, bro, you don't even fucking know yet, dude.
Well, you're feeding me beer, so I'm good.
All right. Yeah. So, but the last question I have for you, and this might be literally the hardest question to answer or the most un-PC we can offer. Okay. But Luke, this is once again, I'm going to go back to Lucas. Lucas is my man. All right. Lucas is like a brother from another mother, well underpaid, and he's a vested interest and loves me. I love him. We're like family without being family. And that's a whole nother story. I didn't even want to hire him when I hired him.
Right.
But I had no other option. Best fucking thing I ever did.
He's obviously been around for a while. So.
Yes. He's amazing, and we're better for it.
Yep.
He said, because I'm like, oh, dude, I told him, I was like, I got Maifiled. I got him. He's coming in. He told me he's going to do the podcast. He's like, all right. He said, ask him, what was his 2019 tax returns?
2019 tax returns.
He wants to know pre-COVID, like, what was Maifiled making? And then I don't need to know to the dollar. What does a pro make, man? Like, we know, the world knows it's a 6-figure income. Now, you have to earn that because there's bonus money and blah, blah, blah. Okay, like, I get that.
I mean, I'm pretty transparent with this stuff. I probably never said this on a podcast, but I would say for the last handful of years, I make north of 100, just south of 200.
Perfect.
So
a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And
so we're not making millions.
No.
We're not making enough money to like retire.
But me as a family guy, one thing people have to understand is that doesn't come cheap. 150 is not easy for being away 35 to 38 weekends of the year from your family.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I'm a family guy.
That's what I say is that back to if you did the math of the hours put in and figured out an hourly wage, it's not very impressive.
Right.
Because you're your own worst boss. You have to be the guy telling yourself to do these types of things, put in this amount of time, right? So if you actually sit down and do the math on some of this stuff, because, I mean, I got up at 2:45 this morning to fly out here, right? And shit, I don't know what time I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to get up at 7 and do the thing tomorrow.
You don't need to get up at 7. We don't open until 10.
I wake up at 7. All right, I'm going to be up at 7.
But that's like
9
here.
I'm just going to lay in the bed and like... But
no,
I'm
you're going to be fine.
I mean, I'm actually working tomorrow morning before I get to the track at 10, but how fucking late are we going to be at the track? What I'm getting at is that when we're at the track, most of these like PMB, most of these events, we're there from 8 to 1.
Yeah.
8 a.m. to 1 a.m. Right?
Yeah.
You're there all day. I mean, some of these indoor races, we literally get there before the sun comes up, and we go we leave when the sun's going down.
Right.
Or
coming back up.
No offense to
shitty ass fucking venues,
places.
100%.
We're not traveling around the world to some glorious fucking place.
You're not in the Hilton.
And we got shitty connections, and we're driving through shitty places, and a lot of the places we're like we got like land.
Well, we talked about Spain. You get to the fucking Worlds. Yeah. Beautiful. The ball goes
4-hour drive.
Yeah. The actual track was the most amazing A-scale outdoor track.
50 minutes away from anywhere we could stay.
Exactly.
So we had to drive 50 minutes minimum each direction.
Right.
Right. Every day for 12 days.
Yeah. It's not glorious.
No. We're not like helicoptered around.
Right.
We're not flying private jets, So some people think it's glorious, it's great, it's glamorous to like travel around, but we're literally never seeing. We travel all these countries, but we literally never see the country.
Right.
We see the track. We see the shitty part around the track. It's a couple of restaurants. That's it.
Right.
Right. That's it. We
Interior
see the airport,
of a hotel room.
So, I'm not complaining. I love my job.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I get to go home and see my family and like my office is at my house and my kids can be involved and they like to throw fucking wrenches at me and it's great, So, but at the end of the day, we make good money, but we're not making enough money to just be like, one day, fuck it, we're done.
We're still blue collar.
Right. Yeah.
In this day and age, when you see the cost of living, the time we spend, we're still blue collar people. We're not fucking making a ton of money.
I mean, I don't like to say that because I feel like I grew up with, my parents went in every single thing that my parents ever did extracurricular with me, they went into debt to do it. Right? Like they got me into RC cars. They took us to sand dunes and the lake and all this stuff. I don't have any siblings, so me, but they went into debt to do it. Like they literally put themselves in such a hole with credit cards, but it was for the sole fact to give me that type of experience and fun. And it took me to be an adult to realize that.
Yeah, right? We don't know until we know.
We don't know until we know. But that was the type of sacrifice they were willing to make at the time to make sure that I experienced those types of things. And so later on, looking back, like, man, I was such a dick in high school. But they did all that shit for me. So nowadays, it's like I make this type of money and
you want to pass it along.
I'm thankful for it, right?
Right.
I'm thankful that I have this job. I work hard. I make more money than my parents made. I can do these things with my family, and I can afford to live just a life.
I have 2 kids that are a little older than yours. Well, I shouldn't say a little, much older than yours. And I grew up mid-class. Parents gave me what I needed, made me work for it. But also, I want to give my kids a better life, which is tough because we're in a different time.
Yeah.
But you hit it on the head. It's you don't realize how good you had it until you're doing it for your own.
Yeah.
And that is so important. Like the humility, that's the human.
Yeah.
That's you being not just this badass we all know at the racetrack. You actually have a family. You have a life that people have to realize. And you're still a dad.
I don't want people to know that.
Well, it does, but you are though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's reality.
Yeah.
We're not. No one has to know your personal life. No one has to see pictures. No one has to do any of that. But the fact is, you're an adult. You have kids and a wife and a life outside of your industry.
Yeah.
And I learned that very. My wife and I gone through hard times because I was like work. Fuck family.
Yeah.
I'll be home when I'm home.
Well,
They'll be there when I get there.
I am lucky enough and also have the same mindset to where I don't have to do that, right? I don't have to do that type of thing. Like I don't have to put my family second, even though they come second, like no matter, that's the crazy thing about this shit is that like with any life, it's just like there's never enough time with your kids.
Never.
Because
you don't get it back.
Never.
That's the problem.
So the time when you're away, like right now, I'm in South Carolina. My family's in Arizona, and I feel like I'm missing something.
Right.
But I have to be here. I have to work. I have to do something. So it's just shitty. But I think it's not shitty though. It's just everybody has to do that.
We all have different ways of making our money and spending our time, and families do sacrifice because of that. But in the end of the day, you're going to put your kids through school. You're going to make sure that your wife's fucking satisfied. You're going to make sure your house payment's paid. We have to do that.
Right.
We all have to.
Yeah.
We're not unique.
People, this is just how I do that.
Right. But that's that. And the point I'm trying to get across to the people, the 5 people that are watching, is that you're human. You're like not some super like human because you're one of the best RC racers. You're still doing a job every day to pay your bills like they do, to go frame a house.
I hope I didn't
plumbing.
disappoint Lucas on my tax return.
No, I think if anything, you really helped him. Now he's going to come to me for a raise. Fuck, if Maifield's making that shit, But no, like it's all about the fact that you have to do the same thing that a plumber does in a fucking guy that does insurance.
Well, I'm basically
sales.
doing the same thing that anybody that owns their own business does. Because at the end of the day,
you are.
I mean, I get paid by people, but I'm my own employee. I'm
you're
my
1099
own company,
right?
And the only person that's going to wake me up in the morning to do my job is me. These companies are paying me to do a job. They're not reminding me to do the job. I'm paid to do the job.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I have a lot of bosses, basically. I have a lot of companies, you know, that rely on me to do what they're asking to do.
What are those companies? Who are the people?
Techno. Well, let's start at the top. So, Techno, J Concepts, Hobby Wing, Aiming Hobbies, Protech RC. Shit, am I missing people? Stick It One, Fly Sky Radio. So yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Oh,
Fly Sky.
fucking A! Did you go to the Noble?
I'm Fly Sky.
No shit.
Oh yeah,
I can drive your car.
you can. I can
Because
switch
I can go lefty.
Yep, I can rotate that bitch.
I want to
around.
drive it this
You can
weekend.
drive it. It's awesome. That radio is really good.
I want to know.
It works.
I saw you driving that motherfucker,
Yeah.
dude. I meant to ask you about
Yeah,
that.
it's good.
I want to drive it.
They want to get in the.
Don't
US
forget.
You can drive it. I don't give a
I
fuck.
actually asked them if they would let me be like a U.S. distributor, and they passed on me because I'm this like little fucking fly
Well,
on the
they may or
gnats.
may not be talking to the other guys.
I understand.
Yeah.
Because but this was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I was still kind of like where I am
Well,
now.
I think they've been working with somebody else, and it's
Fuck them.
yeah, right.
But
So,
anyways, the fact that you're using it, I want to try it.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually fucking good.
Did I tell you about it? I was going to dot you in the eye if you didn't let me drive your car.
No, but
Okay,
you can
well,
drive it.
I'm going to drive your
Yeah,
car.
Jason bought them all, so he doesn't mind.
All right, so you got all those guys, and you got fucking.
I mean, I'm probably
Bro.
missing some people, and I'm sorry if I missed you guys, but yeah, those guys support me. They pay me, and I do the best I can.
Are you using the Noble and A scale too?
Yeah.
No shit.
Fuck yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I ran at a Mugen Challenge. I ran at the Worlds, which.
I haven't seen you since Wicked Weekend, so.
Oh yeah, I've been running
was
it
after
since
Wicked.
Then. Yeah.
No, you didn't run at Wicked.
No, I said I ran it since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like,
So
right. I remember
got
seeing
it,
you.
I got it just before that race,
Okay.
I think. Did I
Everyone's
run it?
asking me about Dakota running the fucking San Juan. I'm like, bro, stop. Okay. People are always looking for what's best or best for them or better than what they had.
Yeah.
Like, just stop it.
All I know is that Fly Skies wanted to make kind of a good entrance into the U.S. market, and they have a phenomenal product.
I agree.
And their price point is going to be shocking for the quality that they're going to bring.
Yeah.
So that'll be pretty cool. I'm
God
excited.
damn it. Fucking amen getting me again,
Hey,
dude.
I didn't say
Jesus.
that.
Yes,
I
you
didn't- I
did.
didn't say it.
Basically.
I didn't say it.
Man. All right. Let's go have some burgers or steak or whatever the fuck you want.
I told you not to make this an A main versus B.
It's not.
podcast.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. By the way, we're going to end this on this. Two things.
Actually, I told I'm not going to name the name. Told somebody at A main that I'm going to do this, and they're like,
I'm going to name names. So a month ago, I reached out to Kendall. I was like, bro, you would be perfect for me and you, especially
To have a
to
podcast?
have a podcast. And he agreed.
He'd probably do it.
He's
yeah.
gonna come after Masters. I don't know when yet, but we haven't like put the date down. I had Shane on already.
Yeah.
I'm dude. You gotta understand. I am industry wide. I'm not trying to
I
single
don't
out.
think anybody dislikes you, and especially if you're doing this and it's like you did what you did. Like it's just a fucking podcast.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
all about Beach RC.
And you know, a
That's
lot
my
of people
business.
don't know. I don't think a lot of people. I wouldn't say that everybody knows that like Brent Densford is Beach, right?
Probably not.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing.
No.
You know, like you said, Kindle. Probably nobody knows that Kindle owns a main.
Right.
You know,
Not
so
everybody.
that's a good thing, right? So, you know, you should be able to do these things kind of anonymously. I guess.
It's not even that. It's like I'm not partial. I'm not gonna block people out.
Yeah, you're doing your thing
For
and,
me.
and yeah, you're just an industry guy.
If I can't beat them on my own, in my opinion, I don't need to block them out to do it.
Right.
I'm happy.
It's just a small enough industry that everybody like kind of has a gentleman-like attitude.
Sure.
It'll be fine.
We had a great time at Nationals, dude. When we went to Kendall's place. Matter of fact, I found out afterwards when it was all said and done because in my first main for Buggy, I ended up beating 3 A main employees. One which was Kendall, one was Jason Bell, and one was another guy in my first main. And I bumped to the next main. And then in the next main, I bumped again. And I come to find out, I'm pretty sure Jason Bell told me this. I can't remember. But they named me as Mr. Bump in their group text message
Right.
among the A-Main guys. So like we have a mutual respect. You know,
that's cool.
I distribute the RC project stuff to them at the moment. I'm working on trying to get other stuff with them. I sell a ton of ProTech shit. You know, and I buy a lot from A-Main Distributing. So like there's no animosity. Kindle's a fucking, to me, is like I look up to that.
Yeah.
Like look what he did,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He got in at the right time. He did the right thing. He's
Yeah.
a fucking genius. Good for him. And I like him as a person too.
I mean, I've
So-
been working with them or racing for them for a long time, and they're good. They're good people.
Yeah.
So, and that you're good people too. So it's like it's good that you guys all just fucking mutual respect. That's all it takes.
It's
you know?
competition.
Yeah.
It's like racing on the track, like you said.
It's
You
like
know,
what would help anybody if you're going after them, they're going after you? What the fuck would that prove?
there's no malicious like
Yeah.
competition. I just want to beat them like they want to beat me.
Yeah.
I feel like, and they can tell me later, and when I get Kindle on here, we can talk about it. But I feel like I've made them step up their game, and I'm not trying to be arrogant.
Well, the guy that I was talking to was like, "Well, how do you better yourself if somebody's not nipping at your heels, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
of course.
that's competition.
That's
So
me. I was nipping at
it's-
their heels.
Yeah. Well, they didn't say that, but
I did. I did.
that's fine.
I did.
Hey, this podcast is not supposed to be about beach RC.
There's only 5 people.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. And they're Beach RC people, so they don't even know who A-Main is. But what I'm saying
No, they
is,
don't.
all I'm saying is this. I worked really hard to get to that point, and I'm glad that they recognized it. Because I know for a good and damn well that I was a thorn in their side. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now they're making me fucking work harder.
Well, you guys got somebody else too, but I don't know if they're doing.
Who the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
they ain't shit to me, dude. Like,
exactly.
There's only one person that matters, and that's A-Main. And I feel like that's the gold standard. And they're an amazing people. I understand why people buy from them. I bought from them before I opened up Beach RC. They're good people. Like I have no problems.
Yeah.
But competition's good. If we didn't have it, they would get complacent.
Yeah.
You know, I make them better.
Well, that's
They're
the
making
same
me
with
better.
everything.
Right. It's
Right?
racing.
Yeah.
We're racing to the
I mean,
top.
there'd only be one car company if everybody's just like, oh shit, okay.
Ford and Chevy.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So
All right. Let's
Are
go
we
eat
done?
dinner.
we're done.
Remember you said an hour. I was like, whatever,
Is this
dude.
fucking 4 hours.
It's 3.
Jesus.
I told you.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
My
thanks,
man.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.
Peace. Ryan Maifield in the motherfucking house. We out.
La 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 hey 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 la 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 la